What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Deckin Around. My name is Tyler.
Tyler, I'm Steve.
And we are so excited tonight to have Chloé Crawford on the show. For those of you who do not know Chloé Crawford, you're completely missing out. Chloé is not only an amazing magician, but she is a talented dancer, a model, and so many different things. We are so excited to pick her brain tonight about not only creativity, her magic career, and all of these wonderful things, but just get to know Chloé a little bit better and sit down and have a good time. So you looking forward to this, Steve?
Talk about some food.
Yeah.
You know, she's in Vegas. There's a lot of good food in Vegas.
Dude, I haven't been to Vegas since I was like 13. Like, I don't know who brings a 13. Yeah, did I know who? That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know who brings a 13-year-old to Vegas, but then I've never been back since. So, like, I've been to Vegas, but never experienced Vegas in any meaningful way.
Well, all I have to tell you is come July, we're going to Vegas.
All right. I was going to say, I'll also live vicariously through Chloé. So that'll be, for the time being, that'll have to hold me over. But before we jump into it tonight, everyone, please make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. You don't want to miss some of the amazing content we have coming up, as well as tonight's show is going to just be an absolute blast.
That means you too, Matt. Like the video.
If Matt's in the chat, yeah, we're calling you out right now.
He's in there already. Luke's in there, dude.
Yeah, dude, we got a good crowd tonight. I'm excited for this. And before we jump even more into it, let's take a quick word from our sponsor here.
Join us as we celebrate the marvelous and fascinating things that surround us, all in the palm of your hands. You will be mesmerized. Follow us on Instagram at MarvelousDecks and at MarvelousDecks.com.
Yes.
Yeah. Honestly, I always my favorite part of that ad is when it comes away from it to see which of us is going to like ad lib into it first.
I love it, man. I love that ad.
It's such a good one. Such a good one. The voiceover kills me for it every time.
I want to see who does the voiceover. I want to see them in front of the mic doing the voiceover.
We'll find it out for sure.
Yeah.
And thank you so much to MuseumKits.com for sponsoring the show tonight as well. MuseumKits.com strives to bring you museum quality prints of your favorite artwork into your home. They've recently teamed up with Lorenzo of Stockholm 17 to bring you his award-winning House of the Rising Spade court cards on archival quality prints. Make sure to check them out at museumkits.com/S17. The link is right down below.
Yeah, it's right there. And I have to stop everybody. What up, Mama? How you doing?
Hi, Janice. How you doing tonight? And X. What's up, X?
What up, X? What up, Mama? All right, let's get down to business. Right.
Without further ado, everybody, welcome Chloé. What's up?
Chloé, what up?
I love it. How you doing tonight?
I'm good. I'm not going to lie, I'm a little hungover, but I'm very good.
That's
my birthday yesterday, so I have an excuse. But apart from that, I'm good.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday. That's exciting.
Have the birthday sound ready.
Hold on.
Happy birthday!
I had it. I finally had my sound bank open to the right one.
Tyler, rocking it.
But that being said, no, I mean, and hey, you know, it sounds like you had a good time for your birthday, so that's exciting. Did you guys do anything fun?
We did. Well, we're lucky that we're in Vegas, so we were able to actually go out for dinner. Like a small group of us. There were 6 of us total, but we could actually go out. Yeah, it's strange here because we don't really feel like we're in lockdown anymore. Like there's restrictions, you've got to wear masks, things like that. But it's not the same. Like last year, we were just home and we didn't really do anything. We just stayed in. So it's been really nice to kind of celebrate properly and like, you know, get dressed up. I feel like I haven't got dressed up in a long time. So yeah, it was.
What does that mean? What's dressed up mean?
Dressed up, like, okay, for me, it's like put some heels on, like not just dress from the waist up, like actually do the full length.
I feel like I feel like both Steve and I are sitting here in like sweatpants. I know I have like furry slippers on right now, so definitely not.
Shirt on the top and sweats on the bottom. I'm like, no one can see.
It's the way to do it. Honestly, it's the best way to do it. There was a point during the whole early pandemic where I had a job interview and I literally had a button down, a tie, a suit jacket, and cut off sweat shorts on.
Nice.
So
that's terrible.
It's honestly, it worked. I mean, it was comfortable and business. So there you go. But Chloé, we are so excited having you on tonight. Now, obviously I was introing this out, and as I was kind of doing all of my research to write our little blurbs that we always have in these things, I'm like, damn, she does tons and tons of stuff. And what really actually stood out the most to me is not only how impactful you've been throughout magic, but you really are relatively new to magic.
I mean, well,
Like
yeah.
about going on about 10 years, but not like you haven't been necessarily.
I guess, yeah, I feel old today because I'm just because I've got a year older. But yeah, I mean, compared, like I wasn't the girl that like got a magic kit from her great aunt or whatever when she was a kid and like got into it that way. Like I loved magic when I was a kid. I loved watching it on TV and things like that. But there were no women doing it, especially in the UK. I didn't see anyone when I was growing up doing it. So there wasn't that like, oh, I want to be that. Like when you're a kid and you're like, you see a firefighter and you're like, I want to be that. Or you see a magician, you want to be, and there wasn't a woman. So I was like, oh, okay, whatever. It didn't really cross my mind. And then I loved dance. I was a big ballet fan. And I remember I was like 4 or 5 and I saw a program for Swan Lake. And it's just the prima ballerina, and it was beautiful. And I was like, that's what I want to do. That is obviously not what I did. But at 5, that's what I wanted. I was like, I want to be like her. And, you know, she was alone and she was like, in the, you know, so beautiful and graceful. And I was like, that's what I want to do. And that got me into dance. And then I discovered like there is more than ballet. There's so many different styles, and why not do a bit of everything? And even with magic, I've kind of find that there's not one thing I love in any kind of genre or discipline. Like I like a bit of everything. I think too, I just get bored too easy. Like I can't just do the same thing every day. Like my attention span is just not there for that kind of thing. Sorry, I went off on a whole little jaunt there.
No,
but,
that's fine. That's what it's all about.
Magic, not as long. Like I moved to Vegas, I think 2012.
Okay.
And I saw that there were so many male magicians here, like so many magic shows on the Strip. I couldn't believe there were so many. And that was kind of the moment I was like, why are there no women? And like already Melinda had already done her run. I missed that. I never saw her. So, you know, once again, no women on the Strip. So I was like, okay, maybe this is something I can try and see, you know, is this something I can do? And I thought, yeah, why not? Like, yeah, I'll just try this thing. And I did. And I put out videos online and learned as much as I can. And then, okay, long story short, then I got picked up with like Britain's Got Talent and blah, blah, blah. And it went on from there. So it was kind of a leap of faith, kind of just throwing stuff at a wall and seeing what paid off, really. But yeah, definitely different to a lot of people's magic stories, I guess.
That's exciting.
I mean, that's what makes it fun, though. You know, if
without a doubt.
The same freaking story. It's like, oh yeah, you watch Chris Ramsey, and that's how you're here.
Or you watch David Blaine special. Yeah. And honestly, like it's always interesting to see though. And I think it's encouraging for people who are like, oh, I like magic and I'm older. I'm not a 12-year-old kid anymore. Like you can get into magic at any point in time. Case in point, your story right there. And I think that's exciting though, that you were so willing to take that leap. Obviously that must've been nerve-wracking at the time, especially having just come to a new area as well.
Yay. Yeah. Thank you so much, Shiro.
Thank you, Shiro. We appreciate it, man.
Chloe.
There you go.
Thank you, Shiro. Yeah, I don't know, maybe I was just young and naive and a bit just crazy. Like I just moved to Vegas. I was like, screw it. Like worst comes to worst, I can always go home. Like I can always go home. That's never an issue, but why not just move to Vegas and see what happens? And, you know, I auditioned for some shows and I've worked here ever since. So it's been great. And that was just another, I guess, naive moment of being like, yeah, why not? Why can't I do this? Like, you know, I feel like as I get older, I'm more like, I've got to plan everything and think everything out and like, oh, what happens if I do this or this? But yeah, I definitely was very just free and like, whatever, what's the worst that could happen?
That's the maturity level, right? Once you get a little mature, you have to think about it a little more.
Yeah, well,
you get responsibilities.
You get more risk averse as you get older is what ends up being. And that's awesome though, because clearly it's paid off for you. So, you know, you've done things you've enjoyed. You've probably had highs and lows throughout it, but the journey itself was hopefully was worthwhile.
Oh, for sure. And I feel like now, especially since last year and being home for a year and not touring and just having to switch to virtual shows and the whole world just, you know, changing, I've definitely kind of gone, okay, what do I really love? What I really want to do? Like enough just doing a show to pay the bills, really. Like that's the kind of the one thing that I loved but also hated when I was a dancer, and then I started making money from that. At first, you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm getting paid to do something that I love. And then it comes to a point when it switches and you're now doing this thing to make money. And it's like, it's so like, it's great. And we're very fortunate. We're very lucky, but it's also a little soul destroying because you're like, there's a different drive now. And it's not just love and passion. Now it's vet bills or medical bills or got to pay the mortgage or whatever. So it's kind of that frustrating thing. And then, I think last year we kind of went, we've worked our butts off with online shows and things, but what do we really love and what do we want to do? And, obviously as you get older, you realize you're not going to be here forever. What do you want to leave behind in whatever manner, whether it's you want to stay home and have kids or you want to, have a career, or you want to do both, whatever it is. So yeah, a lot of reflecting this year.
Do you think that like getting to that point where you're kind of where it's obviously a passion, but you kind of lose that passion, it becomes kind of like a job, I guess you could say, right? What do you think kind of paid tribute to that change in time? Was it just because you were working too hard and just keep on working expectation?
I guess, I think for me, because especially starting as a dancer and going into magic, so you're always you're told what your choreography is and you're taught that and you're told what to wear and what to do and how to look. And you're just told what to do. And that's fine. That's your job. And then when I went over to magic, I was like, well, it should be more free. I should be able to create what I want and do what I want. And then I found still in a lot of the work I was doing and the gigs I was doing or getting booked for, that there was still those restrictions. And I definitely felt that it was more because I was a woman and newer to the business, but there wasn't that trust level there of just trust me to do my act and trust me to look good on stage and to know the audience and know what's okay. Obviously I'm not going to wear something on a Vegas stage that I'm going to wear at the Magic Castle. It's a different vibe, or that I would wear on Broadway, or it's different. It's just a different demographic. And I think then hitting last year and kind of being able to do what we wanted and create our own things, because we weren't, we had to make our own work. We had to create our own shows to put online, to do corporate shows or, virtual public shows, things like that. You just have to, you're making yourself your own job now, you're your own boss, because yes, people are booking you still, but you have to make it for your, for yourself. So it was, I think just over having a boss and wanting to be my own boss. And it gets too much after a while. You're like, does it really matter if I wear a suit on stage or a dress? Who cares? Whatever. Let me just be happy. Let me just be on stage, feel confident. I think that's so important. Some people, want to wear a ton of makeup and the big hair.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you so much, Nick. We love you.
Thank you. I like the comment too. Finally, there's someone prettier than Tyler on the show.
That's fucked up, Nick. Fucked up.
Stubbly beard. Beard guy.
So the beard before this, 3 weeks ago, was down to here. So this is a new look.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like you do look like you're in a little beard competition, the two of you, though.
No.
He can win. I don't even care.
Yeah. No. Hold on. I'll pull this up.
I'm not going to compete with that. Now, I have a question, Chloe, about what you were just talking about. Do you think, obviously, seeing both sides of it, you and Colin both into magic, do you see a big discrepancy in how you get treated compared to how he gets treated in the community?
100%. Yes. In general, this isn't just Colin and I just talking male to female. There's a massive price difference in what someone will instantly offer a male magician in some. I'm not saying in every case, because every country is different, but from what I've experienced and what I've seen, there's such a big discrepancy between the pay that's offered, and I definitely have to fight a lot harder and back up why I deserve a certain number. And I don't think that's as much if you're a man. And we always have to go back and forth. And you're like, okay, well, it's this number, but if we're doing more shows, then whatever, this is part of the job. But it's definitely been and it's not comfortable. I hate talking money. I hate doing that. I hate having to fight for what I think is what I deserve. It's like, oh, really? But unfortunately, it's just part of the business, and that will get better in time. Like, it will take a long time, but it will get there. I hope. But even in, I would say, like I was talking about being told what to wear or what to, acts and stuff like that. There's just, and I feel like other female magicians, and I hate saying that term, but it's just, when we know what we're talking about, that they probably experienced the same of just no trust in us to know how to look good on stage. I'm like, you've seen us on stage before. You've seen us somewhere. You've seen us in a promo video. There's obviously something you liked. Like,
right.
If you just want to take us and completely rip us apart and put something else together, then maybe we're not the right act for you.
Right.
Like, it needs to be more than just ticking the female box.
Well, it's kind of funny because how can a guy say you got to dress this way? Women are way more fashionable than dudes, and like I definitely think.
I literally
the
like
last thing you want to tell a woman is how to dress. Because
if I have to go somewhere where I need to like look presentable, granted I know how to dress myself, but I'll always I'll hit my girlfriend and be like, hey, does this look good? Like, I can't figure out how colors match. I can't do any of that. She would look much better than me on any stage. And just because she's also creative in that sense, but yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
And don't get me wrong, Colin dresses very well. He's got his look. He's got his whole Sherlock Holmes kind of vibe. So he has that to kind of base his looks off of, but I think maybe another difference is that I like to experiment with fashion, and don't get me wrong, I've definitely seen the odd red carpet photo where I'm like, that was not a good move. I don't know what I was thinking, but why not try? Like, you don't know what you look good in. Like, when you're younger, you're like, I don't know what looks good. There's this trend. Should I be following a trend? Should I be stepping outside of that? And just like some of the things I've worn, I'm like, I've got like one dress. It looks like grandma's curtains. Like, I still love it to this day. I think it's amazing.
That's what matters, though.
That's back in. What are you talking about? It's still in.
I'm all about it. But it's also how you wear it. If you feel good in it, and then who cares, really? Like, not everyone's gonna like what you wear or what I wear or whatever. Not everyone is gonna be happy. So don't dress for them. Dress for yourself.
100%. And that confidence you exude, feeling good in a good outfit, whether other people like it or not, is the most important part, because other people are going to gravitate towards that confidence.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Like, there's so many people that, you see like the massive red carpets, like the Met Gala and all these things. And you look at some of those outfits and you go, what were they thinking? But then I swear, it's like a day later, you're like, oh my God, I love it. I don't know what it is. See it first and you're like, you look like an ostrich. What are we doing? But then it just, you're like,
but that's the point. That's the point, right?
It's like, wow.
Yeah.
Well, they just want you to dress like that.
Yeah.
It's all in the money making. But it's I don't know. It's nice to have fun with these things. Like, you only live once. Why not?
Yes.
Wear some crazy stuff.
I mean, I highly doubt people are talking shit about Dan Sperry and how he should dress,
Well, no, but then that's his look, that's his vibe. That's been something that he's done for, I mean, I don't know how long I've kind of known him for, but it's always been that kind of vibe, kind of goth-esque, but that's his jam. That's what, that's what he likes. Like, I think he's someone that I really like his work. I've always loved it. And that's kind of what got me into more like geek magic in the beginning. Because I was like, I love what he does, but like, I've always, for as long as I remember, I've had like blonde hair or pink hair or whatever. But I was like, I'd love to do like there to be that to come out on stage and people expect a certain thing and give them completely the opposite. Like, I love that. So that's why I love like I love dressing up. I love being girly. Like, that is just part of me. But I also love doing really gross magic that creeps people out because it's so unexpected. Like, it's like, really? We thought you were going to come in, it's going to be pretty and just like, something's going to float. And it's like, no, I'm going to ruin your day.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Mark. We appreciate it, Mark.
Mark, legend.
Mark.
Yeah, no, that's so true.
Well, and that's part of the fun of the performance. I think, if you, like I said, you like to come on stage and give them something completely opposite of what they expect. They're already getting their money's worth right from that point that you come out there and you shock them in the first couple seconds. They should know. And if anything, I think people should like that because it should let them know it's going to be a good show. It's going to be entertaining. from everything you're saying here, it genuinely sounds like you are a born performer, you know, clearly wanting to be a dancer at a young age and then getting into magic and all these other kind of, you know, modeling and acting and all these things. Have you really always wanted to like, or have always gravitated towards stage?
I think, well, yeah, like I must have started dance classes when I was about 4 or 5, and I did my first live show in front of like 2,000 people when I was 5 years old. And
wow.
But for some reason, I feel more comfortable the more people there are. Like, I don't do walk arounds. It has never been a thing that I've wanted to do. And honestly, that scares the life out of me. I would rather perform in front of like 20,000 people.
Yeah.
I don't know what there's there's something about like having that little bit of distance and that just comfortable feeling of like, I'm over here, just watch from there. Like, we're good. Like, the being up and close with people is like whoo. And I guess too with dance, it's not interactive in that way. It's more storytelling, and you watch the piece and you know watch the characters interact and tell their story, which I guess is when I got into magic was my biggest thing, that I was like, I don't get why certain people, and this is just my opinion and my personal preference, like everyone should do what they want to do, but I just don't, when it's a trick just to do a trick and it's just, and there's no connection, that is when I'm like, I don't see the point for me. Like, it just doesn't connect to me. I need, like, I want to learn something about you when you do something. If you perform something for me, share something about yourself. Or I'm not saying you have to, you know, I don't need to know everything. Like, just be vulnerable for about a tiny thing. Even if it's, you have another job, if you don't just do magic, let's say you do something else as well, and putting that into the magic too, to kind of share a part of you. Or, you know, you've got 5 brothers and 6 sisters. Like, how can you make a story out of that with your trick? And, you know, so there's more to it than just the trick. Like, I feel like everyone is just like, they want the wow, they want the like, but there's that lasts for a second and then it vanishes and it's gone. And then people go, how did he do it? Did he do this? And it's done. And I would rather tell a story or share something that will, you know, when people go away later and think about it, there's like that afterthought of like, oh, we did, you know, we learned this, and it just more to it. But that's me, you know, I grew up watching plays and ballets and musicals, and, you know, it's, you watch 2 characters like fall in love and then break up and then one dies and and you know, everyone's crying in the audience, and you're like, you don't know these people, it's not real. But you feel that connection from what they're doing, and that's kind of something, it's hard to put that into magic, especially when I first started. I was like, there's no way, like, I don't even know where I would start. And now in the past year, I've kind of gone, okay, you're learning all these tricks and doing this stuff, and that's not how you work. Like, I need to flip it and do what I love and tell a story, tell my story, whatever, and then put the magic that I created or I find that fits it to that. It should never be about the trick. Like, the trick should be the most, like, the least important part of it. I just want it to be there to it's a vehicle to tell the story.
It's the bridge. I think there's 2 types of magicians. Or even performers in general. I think there's the performer that does it for themselves, and then there's a performer that does it for the other people, the spectators, the viewers, whatever you want to call them. Doesn't matter if it's magic, dance, or music, you know, whatever it is. I think, you know, depending on which one you are, is how your routine, how your performance is gonna be portrayed, you know. And I think and I think, you know, some people gravitate towards the, oh, cool, and just want to leave, you know. I think a lot of comedians are, you know, they do it you know, kind of in that fashion, right? They kind of tell their jokes, do their thing, the same thing every night. And, you know, a lot of comedians, you know, have a lot of depression issues, you know. So I think they're doing it to get that laugh, to kind of not create that feeling that they get frequently when they're not performing, you know. But I think, you know, depending on how you are, I think it definitely makes for a much more interesting performance.
But yeah, and I think even though with comedy, like we just watched such a great comedian called James Acaster. He's British, so I don't know if you would know who he is. But his Netflix specials are on, well, they're on Netflix. He's got like 4 hours of specials that he just banged out in no time. Like he'll go away and write, and you won't hear about him for like 2 years, and then he comes out with like a ton of material. And then he just did another one talking about he actually like went into mental health and some issues he's had, and then talking about his ex-girlfriend is now with Rowan Atkinson, who plays Mr. Bean.
Yeah.
It's like, geez, like he kind of
talk about ego issues.
Like he kind of talks about that, and then you make some jokes on it, and it doesn't feel like bitching about it. It's more like sharing his side of the story, and it's actually quite funny
Nice.
in his storytelling and stuff, which is cool. Like you can bring your own life into that sort of thing, and there's certain things that you can kind of relate to in some way. I think for me the best comedy is when someone says something and I'm like, oh yeah, I felt that, or I've done that, or I've said that. And that, you know, that makes me laugh. But yeah, I mean, I'm just not one to walk on stage and just be like, look at me, look at how great I am, look at this amazing trick, I'm gonna fool you. Like it's just not, like I've done acts like that and shows like that, and it's fine and it's great and it feels good, and you know, definitely the audience's reaction and the applause and all that, it's what's the word, it's addictive. Like that feeling like is definitely something I've missed from the past year, because Zoom or StreamYard or WebEx or whatever format, you know, people use for online shows, it's just not the same. You don't have that same feeling. But it's, you know, I don't know, I want the best of both worlds. I think you can have that, but also, you know, have some meaning to it, and tell a story that, you know, that people will love, hate, be happy, be sad, be, you know, feel everything within one show. I think is great. Right. Well, we'll see, but I hope it will be.
And so how is that transition from like more stage performance and more kind of choreographed performance to some extent to the whole idea of like Zoom magic or online magic? Was that a big like change for you?
I mean, yes, because I feel like you're restricted on what you can do in this format.
Right.
People can't touch things. People can't examine things. Like they either have to just believe you when you're telling them something or showing them something, or you just have to find out the magic to fit. And then when I put my virtual show together, I did like one public show before the end of the year, because I put it off for a long time. Colin does a lot of corporate, and I work with him on that. But I was like, I just want to get one public show out, and I invited a ton of friends and whatever. And I was like, I just want to do one and see how I feel about it. And it's weird creating for this space. Like, I don't know. It's just a weird thing. And we'd watched a ton of virtual shows. And my biggest issue was like, I don't want to watch a show and watch like the same person on the same screen with the same backdrop, with the same outfit, with no music, with no, like, there were so many things that were an issue. Like music was originally really hard to do on Zoom. Like you couldn't have music and talk over it because Zoom didn't know what to do. It was like, okay, there's all this sound coming in. We don't know what's more important. And it just sounded awful. So there's a lot of obstacles to get over in the beginning. And then it wasn't the dream show that went out. It was a version of what I would have loved to be the dream show. But it, you know, I got to put out a lot of stuff that I never done before. Like it was all brand new stuff I never performed, which was scary. But you know, there was bits in there. Like I threw in some bits that I was like, it felt a little like filler for me. Like some of the stuff which I hate, but I also was worried that it would run short. I thought I would have a 30-minute show. It ended up running an hour 10. Oh, wow. And I didn't realize that there was that much content. Because, you know, when I did like the musical acts, like I know, okay, this is 4 minutes. This is 3 minutes or whatever. But then, and I go, okay, well, this piece, I'm going to talk about X, Y, and Z. And it was semi-scripted, but it was kind of, I wanted it to be a little more free because I feel like if it's too scripted, I talk like it's scripted. I talk like I'm reading it. And I would rather mess up a few words and feel more natural than be like, I'm reading this to you. Like, I don't like that. so what? I screw up a word, or I miss a word, or I stutter. Like, who cares? Like, whatever.
Yeah.
We're all about messing up.
Yeah.
Whatever. And I think people kind of like that, and they see more of you than this like scripted version of yourself. But no, it was fun. It just, and I also mixed in a lot of other things. Like the house was a mess because we had like one setup in Colin's office. We had a different setup in what is now in here, but in my office, but it wasn't this. We had a different background. We did some stuff in the dining room. I had an act that moved throughout the house for my intro. Like I was literally, I wanted to do a version of the walking from the dressing room to the stage. You know, you see these videos all the time. People in the bedroom getting ready, and then they walk to the stage, and you see the back of them, and then the curtain goes up, and they're on stage. So I wanted to do my version of that, and I did. The version was, I was in bed, like literally pajamas, everything, and my alarm went off, and I pull back the covers, and I stand up, and my hair's a mess, and I've got like a face mask on and stuff like that. And I move my feet, and my slippers like float onto my feet, and I stand up and I walk over, and then I costume change into like my day outfit, and I go through the house, and then I like make tea, and all this stuff floats, and then I like make my dog appear, and then I change into like a show outfit, and then we start the show. So it was kind of like running around the house. So it was a fun show, but it was, I was exhausted because I had like 6 or 7 different outfits. There was close up, there was geek magic, there was, you know, it was just crammed full of stuff. And then I wanted to do a whole game section as well, which we started playing games with my family when we found out that we couldn't go home anymore. And they're all in the UK. They're in my family's in England, and Colin's is in Scotland. And we just would jump on Zoom and we'd hang out, and then we were like, oh, let's play games. And we'd like do little quizzes, and then we got more like into doing like, we'd play a video and you had to guess like what the music video was or things like that. And we got quite into like coming up with different things because we do it every Sunday. We've done it every Sunday for like almost, I think, a year now. And it's been such a big part of my life. And I probably see my family more now than I ever have.
So that's the one great thing about all this craziness is
nuts.
Yeah.
Like, it's so great. It's such a, and I didn't even know what Zoom was. I had no idea until literally this time last year. I didn't know how to work it. I didn't know how to set all the stuff up. So that was great. And I put that in the middle of the show, and I had a huge section, which was, I played games with the audience, and we did like, there was like a spot the difference thing. And there was I did a memory test where you watched a video and you had to name all the objects that you saw in the video. Oh my gosh, there was so many parts. I can't even remember. I think there was like 4 or 5 games that we played. Oh, there was a little shopping list that came up on the screen. I had all these like cool graphics made, and it had like, you had to go around your house and grab all these things. So you had 60 seconds, and like everyone would just run. You grab this thing, you get back, and I'm like, everyone's showing me this stuff. Yeah, I've got this, And then I made them build different things with what they went and got. And it was like, who could build the tallest thing, or who could build like a thing that represents or like looks like a certain object, like all these different things, which I love. Like it's so, because you know, for that 20 minutes, I'm not worried about magic. I'm not worried about setup. I'm not worrying about being hooked up to whatever. I'm literally like, this is just fun. This is just, and it was. And I think that was kind of, for me, the best part. And I think it was a surprise for people because I don't think people saw that bit coming. Like I kind of put it in the advert, but I was like, we'll leave it vague.
I mean, I think what that does is it totally brings the interaction that you wouldn't normally get on a Zoom show, you know, because when you're in person, I mean, it's different if you're close up or whatever, you know, but just being in person is so much more like personable and interactive. So if you're just sitting in your chair and you're not doing something with the performer, you're literally feeling like you're just sitting in the chair. You know, you're not going to get the same responses with a dope trick or a dope, you know, result. It's, you know, so getting people running around and everything feel like they actually went to a show.
Yeah. And because there was some musical acts, because they were things I was working on. So there were definite times where there was like, there's a 3-minute act and we're all just going to watch it. And like, there was I try to always add little funny moments in there to at least like break it. So it's not so like serious the whole time, like silly things will randomly happen. But I was like, at least if this piece is in there, then people will be like, okay, we're moving, and at least then they'll be ready to just like, okay, we're ready to relax for 3 minutes, because that was, we were really working hard for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I still did some interaction stuff, but one of the things, you know, even with Colin and I with writing his show, is finding things that use the entire audience. Like, it's everyone wants something to happen in the audience member's house. Like, right. That's really hard, because how do you get stuff into their hands? Like, not everyone wants to like send stuff to people, because now it feels very set up. And so it's dependent. Like, I've seen some shows that do it and it works great, and I've seen others that do that, and I was like, that was a waste of money. But right. I was like, at least with this, there's a little interaction, and it's fun, and we brought up different people. Then I have a moment when I was like bringing up everyone's pets. I was like, I was very why it was so long. I was like, who's got dogs? What's going on? Who's got a cat?
Who's David in your family? David says, love the Crawfords.
Love David Crawford.
Is he related?
I don't think he is. He? I don't think I have a David. Unless he's like, I don't think there's a David. Wait,
that's great. It's probably someone who just changed their name just now to pretend like they're related.
You know what? Crawford seems to be quite a popular last name, though, because I keep seeing it in Zoom shows, and I'm like, I'm just waiting for a message to pop up to say like, it's like my long lost cousin. Oh, I'm your brother.
I mean, I'm sure it is somewhere.
That's too funny. But no, it was fun to create, but it also, it just kept putting those boundaries again, that I was like, I don't want to work to this. I want to just be able to create. And it, you know, obviously there's always restrictions. There's always a budget. There's always like, okay, you can't do this humongous thing where you're keeping that in your garage. Like there's always going to be something, but now I kind of just want to create what I want to create, and it be not dependent on all these other factors. So yeah, it's fun. I love it. We've done really well on virtual shows in the past year. That kind of saved our butts, obviously. Like, you know, I know so many performers that weren't working last year, and it was really tough, and it really sucked. So we've been very fortunate. But what's great is we can do virtual shows, and, you know, we just walk 3 steps. Like, I literally can walk within 10 steps. I can be sat in Colin's office. We can do virtual shows, and then, you know, it's an hour or 50 minutes or whatever, and then we have the rest of the day to do whatever, or we do a couple of shows, and then, you know, we've kind of been spoiled with that, because as we know, when you do corporate shows, you fly out the day before because they want to make sure you're there, and you know, if there's flight issues, and you know, you're dragging bags and you're dragging equipment, and then you've got your tech on the day, and it's always a nightmare, because there's just always issues with corporate. There's always something. And then you fly back the next day. So it's 3 days to do one gig. Whereas here we can go do 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, in our own home. And it's great. We're very, very lucky. And I think this could go on for quite a while. I think, you know, at least throughout this year, at least till the end of this year, it will continue.
Right. Do you think it'll be kind of like a staple in your traveling? Because now technically you can do it anywhere, right? So it's like, you can fit it in. Not that, I mean, obviously when you're traveling, we can't hear you, Tyler.
I was saying there, you could be like somewhere abroad. And like you can from a beach somewhere.
Yeah. But the only thing is, obviously when you're traveling, you're a lot more tired, you know, but
it's a nightmare.
But it's something that you can definitely fill in, you know, here and there if you wanted to.
For sure. Like, when Colin goes back to the Mirage to do the show, we still have all day up until like 5, 6 o'clock, probably 5 o'clock. So that's a whole day to do whatever. We can do virtual shows, you know, for anyone in the world, which is so amazing. Like, we've done, I think we had a show where the audience was in like Hong Kong. We've done ones in Europe, in the UK, New York, like all over, which is insane. Like, it's so crazy that is a thing. But yeah, no, we've been very lucky, and it's great that we can do it, but I'm kind of now using that to then like fund projects that I actually like, fund my live show. Like, what would be my dream live show? And kind of work on that now, because I have the time, and I, you know, now or never, really, let's get it going. What do we do?
Now's a good time for creation, for sure, you know?
For sure.
Yeah.
And it was tough, I think, in the beginning last year to be creative because you're just worried about everything. You're worried about are there going to be shows? We were on tour when it happened, and we came home, and then that was it. I think it was like March 8th.
Yeah.
I think it was our last show last year, and you just worry every day. You're like, well, and then you realize everyone's doing the same. There's nothing you can do. You just have to wait. It is what it is. And then we started working on the online stuff, but it is hard to be creative in that environment, in that just under that pressure.
I think it took a lot of people to transition to that creative side. I know it took me a while. That's for damn sure. You know.
The online space is a lot different. I think even for people who are used to creation in the mediums they are comfortable with. So really trying to get comfortable with the whole Zoom thing. And I think so many people were, I don't want to say late to the game, because like you said, I still think there's a lot of longevity to where Zoom goes. But I think there were a lot of people who were resistant at first to getting into it even.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Because I think some people obviously were just waiting for shows to go back. So you're like, well, do I want to put all this time and money and effort? Like, it was expensive. It's expensive to start up because you need a camera, you need good internet connection. Like, you can't be running this off of Wi-Fi. Like, you need a good box. There's so many things you really need if you want to do a good show that looks really good and is clean and isn't going to be dropping in sound or dropping in quality. Like, it's such a nightmare. And then even when if you do invest and you have everything set up and it's great, there's still so many factors that you're like, if Cox Internet decides to go down, nothing
you're out of luck. Yeah.
Literally nothing we can do. And we had that, I think, once. It was like 2 a.m. This is back when we were up late all the time, and we're literally watching TV, nothing crazy, and then just lost everything. And I was like, we have a show in 6 hours. What are we gonna do? We're like calling Cox, and we're like, is this gonna be fixed? They're like, yeah, there's just they're like updating or whatever. But that panic of like, you can't just get internet.
Yeah.
That's not a thing. It's here for a reason. It's in our house. And then we had one of our modem router boxes just done one night. Just poof. We'd had it like 6 months. That was it. So that was a run to Best Buy to buy the best box they had, which wasn't great, and just get through a show. And then Amazon Prime for the next day to get like something that could kind of, do what we needed to do. Yeah, it makes such a difference. But yeah, I mean, I get why some people wouldn't want to get into it, and I guess it depends on your style. It depends what you do. It depends if you even want to deal with the tech side of things, because you either have to learn it all yourself or you have to pay someone to do it for you.
Yeah.
So we're so used to just going into a theater and being like, here's your mic, there's your spotlight, like, done. And you go, here's my music, whatever, and it's just done for you. Yeah. And now it's like, no, you need to like the amount of things we've learned over the past year to do, like learning what OBS is and how to use that and how to create all the scenes and all this stuff. And, we've been doing our own photos, doing our own editing, our own graphic design, designing our own websites, like all these things, because we're like, well, we're home. We might as well do these things ourselves,
Yeah.
And rather than, and also with the situation, not wanting to bring people into our home, that for those sort of things, we kind of were very safe. Well, we're still now very safe, but very safe in the beginning, and kind of just stayed home and didn't leave. So yeah, but it's been an exciting year. We learned a lot, and it's been good. But it'd be nice to just walk on stage and it's just done. It's just there. It's like, I don't need to worry. I don't need to worry about lights and like why something does something too much.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's a lot easier when lights don't work, and you could be like talking to the light guy and be like, why the fuck don't the lights work? Whereas if they don't work, you're like, fuck, I need to figure out why these lights don't work. It's such a pain in the ass. Now, have you found any new passions or new hobbies, since all this started happening? Or just got more into, whether danced more or tap dance or...
I mean, I've never been a big hobby person ever, because I always take things too seriously. And I'm learning and I'm like putting that amount of time into something, then it's usually for a reason. That it's usually not just for fun. I very rarely am like, let's just do this for fun. So I think more just actually doing things I love, or things that I used to love and kind of got away from. Like when I stopped dancing and did magic, that wasn't, it was a conscious choice to then go, I don't dance anymore. Like I had a few injuries anyway, and I kind of felt like I had to do that to be taken seriously in magic, because you're not, because of that transition. It just isn't taken seriously. It doesn't matter what you do. I performed here in Vegas, I was on the West End, I've done Broadway, and still there's always that kind of like, because of how I got here, that's always seems to be an issue with people, but whatever. So I think just kind of going back to that and being like, no, like, yes, you love magic, and I do, and it will always be a part of my life. But I love dancing. I love aerial. I love acrobatic stuff. And how can I take all the things I've learned over the past 30 something years and put them together and create something that no one else could do? Like, not to be, that's not like an egotistical thing, that it's more like no one's lived my life. No one's done those specific things that I've done. Like, even if there's two magicians that both do close up, you'll never do the same thing. You've had a different journey to get there. It'll always be different. And I think kind of changing that in my own mind and being like, no, that's a positive thing. That's a good thing that you've had this journey and that you know these things. Like, you don't need to be just good at one thing. You can dabble, you can mix things together. There's no right or wrong. Like, you decide what is right or wrong in what you create. So that's kind of a hard thing to kind of go, yes, this is the right path, but you don't know how people are going to take it. But it's also the fun part of it too, that it's a bit scary and the unknown. But I mean, I'm enjoying it. Like, I started dancing again. I tap dance more. Like, I loved to tap when I was a kid, and it was a lot of people tap, but where I was from and when I auditioned for dance jobs and stuff, tap was always a thing that was like an extra thing, because not everyone learned it when they were a kid. Everyone did like ballet, jazz, whatever. But I always did tap. So it was like, oh, great, you tap dance. That's it. Like, that got like, I wasn't the most flexible. I wasn't the best dancer in the world. Like, I obviously was well trained and whatever, but the fact that I could do pretty much any style was what was going to get me past someone that could do like backflips and crazy stuff. Like, it was like, okay, like they could do that, or they're like super flexible. And I'm like, I'm pretty flexible, but I'm not that, but being able to do all these little things and being able to adapt was kind of what got me where I am today. Just like, I got offered a job as a dancer, but they wanted the person in that spot to do all these aerial stuff too. So I went and I trained 4 hours a day for 3 months to be able to do this job. And I did that myself. I was like, yeah, I can do it, whatever. Like, I'll train and I'll make myself do it. Like, nothing is impossible,
Cool.
So I was big into the just say yes and you'll figure it out later. Like, yeah, you do that? Yeah, I do that. I'll do it. Whatever. I'll make it work.
How much time do I have to learn it?
Like, why not? But yeah, so I think just this year, like, getting back to dancing, like getting back to doing aerial stuff, like taking more, now that Vegas is starting to open up, I can go take classes and like, just, I guess that is kind of a somewhat of a hobby, but it is still helping with my passion anyway, because I can go in a class and not worry. I just learn, and it's not like, I don't have to be creative. I just have to do what I'm told and learn, which I'm so used to from dancing before, but then take that away and use it in any way I want, in not necessarily choreography, but in learning new steps and things like that. So you just use that how you want. But yeah, it's just an interesting time, because I finally am sitting down and writing the show, and it's got to a point where I'm like, no, I need to actually physically do it now. And like, I've been talking to friends that are dancers and, some magician friends of mine to come in to consult on some stuff, because I've done this for a while now, and it's not the easiest way to work, but it's the best way for me. And I usually write an act, and then I'm like, okay, I want this thing to, for instance, I want this thing to float out and do this. And then being like, okay, how the hell does this work? Because it isn't a thing I can just buy. This is not, can't just pop on Penguin and pick this up. Like, it's a very specific thing I need. Right. So having to make a lot of stuff, it's a lot of just creating original stuff, which is fine. That makes you different. but also a lot of learning from my side, just going, I wrote this act, I can't do any of it, but I will learn how to do it. I will learn how to make the stuff, or I will find something that's similar maybe online, and I will pull it apart and I will make it work for what I need.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole point of getting that shit done. You know, I mean, obviously on a smaller scale, it's like, you know, Tyler and I just, you know, had a couple Kickstarter campaigns, and it's like, you have an idea of what you want it to look like in your head, you put it down and you research it and you look who can do it that way. Yeah. You know, and that's kind of what it's all about, even on the bigger scales, you know?
For sure. And I think what I love about being in Vegas is there's so many performers, consultants, magicians, dancers, choreographers, like everyone is here. That, like, if you want to learn, I don't know, you want to learn martial arts, you could literally go online and be like, okay, there's a class this afternoon, and you can go take a martial arts class.
His name is Vinny Magalesh. He's in Las Vegas.
Oh, funny. Wait, I might actually have to ask you about that later. But yeah, it was so spoiled here. Like, you know, I'm having dinner with Kevin James in a couple of days. Like, we're good friends with him. Colin and Kevin used to tour, and then I was in a show in Paris with Kevin. So, you know, and he's amazing, and how his mind works, I have no idea. It's insane. Cool. But like, good friends with Blaze Sarah, he's helping me with some magic stuff. You know, I've so many friends that choreograph and whatever. And what I realize now is I need to bring people in so that I can like jam with them and bounce ideas back and forth, because that's the only way I can tell if this idea is actually good. It's fine me writing it and being like, I think it's good, but until you like have that interaction with someone and you see someone go, I mean, you know, when you tell someone an idea and you just see the light in them and you're like, oh, I think I'm onto something. I have good friends that will tell me that's shit. What are we doing? Like, what are you thinking? And, you know, certain people, I will fight it. And I'm like, nope, I really believe in it. And there's certain people that I'm like, yeah, I don't know what I was thinking either. I was like, that was a late night. I don't know what I was thinking. But yeah, I don't know. I've been rambling for a long time, but it's a fun time to create and just see what's possible. And, you know, just, I mean, we'll see. It's fun, at least. That's the main thing.
Yeah. I mean, now's a great time to do all those collaborations, meet up with people, get different ideas, because nobody's fucking doing anything, you know? And obviously not doing anything, but obviously people are doing a lot of creating right now, you know? And I think, you know, Tyler and I always talk about it. Collaborating is one of the most powerful things in any setting, whether it's music, whether it's magic, whatever it is, you know, collaborating, you pull people's minds together that are involved in the same thing. They all see different things, you know, and I think that's where your show and their show become way more powerful.
Oh, for sure. And I think, like, even because it's hard when you write something and you create it and you're putting so much of yourself into it, and there's so much kind of from my life, like storytelling stuff in it, that it's then hard to get it off of paper and talk about it to people. So, and now I'm realizing like the benefit of that though, like, especially like, I'm not just going out talking to anyone about it. It's definitely my friends, the people that I trust that have kind of seen some of it, or some that haven't, that are newer, like really good friends, but not people that knew me 20 years ago. And sharing those ideas. And then there's just some gems that have come out of just having the conversation of like thinking about this piece, blah, 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 blah. And someone just says one thing and you're like, oh, that's it. Like the penny just dropped. And there's something that's so beautiful about that. And that person doesn't even know what they've said. They don't understand the impact they've had on, you know, what's going to be like 4 or 5 minutes of your show. Like, it's like, oh my gosh. So yeah, it is exciting. And I love that. And it also gets me excited about it again, because if you're just like work and writing, and, you know, you get to that point of like, oh, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? And it's nice to bounce that off of people and get excited about it again and be like, no, this is fun. Like, this is what you want to do. It's going to be hard. It's going to kick your butt, but it's going to be worth it in the end to say that you did that. Like, that's no, you know, yes, you collaborate with people, whatever, but that was your creation. That's what you planted it and you made it grow, like from the start to the end, which I've never done. Like, the virtual show was the first time I ever did a full show.
Oh, wow.
Alone, ever. It's always been acts. It's always been 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes. It's never been just me for 30 minutes / an hour and 10. But but you know, it just has a different feeling when you're doing that. And it was weird, like, because some of the shows I have done, like like Illusionists on Broadway, or when I was first here, I did a show called Fantasy at the Luxor, and you see like your faces on stuff and you see your name, but it's amazing, and it's great, but it's also different when you didn't make that happen. Like, you didn't create it.
Right.
You were booked in it, you got picked, you got, you know, you auditioned or whatever, and you got put there. But I want to be the person that puts me there. You know what I mean? Like,
for
sure. Sure, there'll always be someone above you. It doesn't matter how high up you are. There's always someone. But I at least want to produce, direct, write my own work, and share that. And if it sucks, it sucks. At least it was mine. Like,
have as much of that creative control as you possibly can there.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Jamie asked a good question that actually fits perfectly right now.
Yeah. Jamie asked, how do you find the balance between personal space and your public content?
That's a good question.
She's like, I don't know. I'll figure it out.
Personal space and public. I mean, there's a lot of crossover. Like, I mean, especially online, because like it's just my dogs and my cats. I'm like, guys, I hate, like, I don't know. Like, I'm like, who really cares? But I'm like, oh, look how cute my dogs are. And that makes me happy. So I'm like, whatever. But I think, I mean, personal space and public content. I mean, I feel like I used to draw a line between what I shared. And it was very much everything I put out, it was for a purpose. It was never just random.
Genuine and
No, it was very scripted. It was very, like, everything was very edited. And don't get me wrong, like, if I do a photo shoot for an ad or you know, like a show ad or whatever, yeah, it's going to be Photoshopped. Like, I want it to look the best. I want it to look like me, but I want it to be not me, like, just rolled out of bed. I want it to look the best I possibly can. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But, you know, I feel like compared to then to now, I feel like now I'm a bit more just like, whatever, when I put stuff out, like, I don't really think about it as much. I try not to be so hard on myself. I'm like, so what? Like, I'd rather put out something that I love or enjoy, or, you know, here's a part of rehearsal, whatever. And, you know, if it doesn't get as many likes or as many views, whatever. Like, they're not, half those people ain't booking me anyway. Like, that, you know what I mean? Like, that's not where someone's going to put me in a show somewhere. Like, it's not that. Like, unless you're putting out stuff that's really pushing a particular opinion. And I try to be very free of that. You know, yes, I have an opinion on certain things, and I will back certain things that are important, but I'm not really one to force that on someone. Unless, of course, it's harmful to other people. Whatever. You know what I mean? It depends what it is. But now I think more with the writing of the show, there is no balance. It is full on. It is as close as I can get to the true story. In a lot of cases, like, there's some embellishments and there's some parts that I'm like, this isn't reading on stage, so I need to, like, it needs to be done in a certain way for the story to make sense, and things like that. But there is, the line is completely gone. It is fully, like, big moments that have happened in my life and that people haven't known about, or, like, there's one moment that I'm kind of working on which talks about when I did Britain's Got Talent, and then things that happen behind the scenes at the same time, which I don't think people think about this, is that when you go see a show, you go to be entertained, you go to, you know, laugh, cry, whatever the theme of the show is, you want to forget about your life, right? It's all about what you're watching. But I don't think people realize, like, well, that is an actual person there who has a life, who has a family, who goes through shit, who you don't know, like, that person's uncle just died or grandma just died, and literally an hour ago they found out this news, and now they have to walk out on stage and, like, plaster on a happy face, which I mean, I'm not saying this doesn't happen in other jobs, but it's very different when you have to play that part. Like that is your job. Your job is to make these people happy and be entertained or whatever. And there are days when we don't feel like that. There's days when shit happens and you're like, I don't feel like being happy today. I don't feel like dancing today. I don't feel like doing magic. I don't care about like we all go through this, whatever the thing is. Yep. And I kind of am writing a piece now where you see this, what happens, and then you see a backstage kind of scene or a play out, and you see this transition of like just a broken person who then is like having to suck it up and go on stage. And I feel like I've never really seen that done in that kind of way. I mean, you know, I'm sure it has, but I kind of wanted to share that side of things to kind of, so people realize like, oh yeah, like, you know, we are. And it's like, we all experience the same kind of things. We all experience loss or heartbreak or grief. Like I watch a lot of music, like musicians, like behind the scenes, like documentaries. I'm not big into watching magic shows. I like to kind of, because I get so like caught up in it, and I'm like, I just want to create. It doesn't fuel me in a positive way. So there isn't really a purpose for me to watch a lot of magic. But I like watching a lot of stuff like that, where like I watched Katy Perry's is great. Gaga did a great one. Billie Eilish I just watched recently, who was amazing. And I love seeing their process of how they create, because it's always different. And like we watched Taylor Swift's one because Colin's a big Taylor Swift fan. But like the Billie Eilish.
Don't worry, Colin, we won't judge you.
I mean, I'm coming around. I like her too. But like the Billie Eilish one, she's talking about, she's like living in her mom's house. Like they have a little house in California, and she's getting ready to shoot a music video, and she's got her phone, and her mom is playing like her, and the mom walks out, sits down at a table and chair in their garden. The dad's like gardening in the background, and she's talking through like, so you're going to take the glass and you're going to drink. And it's the scene where she's the bleeding, like black tears. Yeah. And her telling the camera like, okay, I want it to move in on this and da 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 da. And it was just very interesting to be like, oh, that's another way you can create and put your ideas out. It doesn't need to be on paper. It doesn't need to be a written script. It can be like this. This is the new way of doing it, which is interesting. And then going back to the kind of human part, like there's a moment in Katy Perry's where her, and I think it's Russell Brand, I think she was dating at the time, I can't remember, but you see him break up with her like on the phone or like via text, and she's like laying in the dark, she's like just bawling, and the hair and makeup come in, and her friend, and they're like, we have to get you ready, like, and it's a stadium, like it's fucking huge, and you're like, and no one knows, they're like, why is she late, like everyone bitches moans, and she's just, and they're like, she's literally laying in the dark and like laying down, and they're like trying to do her hair and get her ready, and then she's got all the makeup and the dress on, and they hand her a microphone, and she starts like under the stage, and then she's got like her arm up when she's ready, and then they lift her up to stage level, and you just see her stood there just like broken, and then you just see that moment of like, okay, we're doing this then, we're doing this hour and a half show, like this has got to go, I can't, you know.
And game face on and go.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Like it's horrible because no one ever wants to go through that, but it's such a beautiful moment to see that feeling in someone with emotion.
That's also why she's playing stadiums, because she can do that.
Yeah.
Not everybody can do that, and I think that the people that can do that are definitely in the zone, and that's why they're at the level that they're at.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And they're putting their life into their music. Like that's the one thing that I guess sometimes I have a problem with it in magic, is that in music you can put like your things that you've experienced into your music, and you can tell that story, and people will relate to it, and that's why they love the music. Like everyone remembers, like there's certain songs that we always remember, like, you know, the I don't know, like that you were out somewhere and it's the song was playing when you first made out with someone, or your first love, or prom, or whatever the thing is. We have music that triggers us for whatever reason, or even like remembering songs that you listened to when you were a teenager. Like I went through a real like punk rock phase, and there's certain songs that I hear every now and again, and I'm like, and it just takes you back to that place that you were, like at the first gig you ever went to, whatever. And I love that, and I want that in magic more. And it's hard. It's really hard to do that when you're like, I'm here to fool you. Oh, it's so hard. So it's like, how do you make people forget about the magic and just enjoy it and not try to figure it out and just experience it and go along with the story and
you just did it.
Tell that.
You literally just did it. Like, how great would that be in the middle of your fucking show to just play a song and be like, I want everybody to just remember where they were when they first heard that song, or when I think it'd be a great part of the show.
Yeah. Builds that connection for sure.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think it'd be great.
If you whip it like a ukulele and do it, game over.
Here's the question for you. What song could you tell us is a big memory in your head because you were doing something? It could be the song that you like went to Skate Town with, obviously the skate in circles or whatever. Is there a song that you remember?
Oh, I mean, gosh, I mean, there's a couple, because I think obviously when I danced when I was younger, we listened to a lot of music all the time, but there's obviously certain pieces that you feel more connected to. I mean, oh gosh, there's ones I'm just like, okay. So my first boyfriend ever, I was like 15, I think. I was like, I was dancing a lot. I took dance in school as well as everything else, and I was dancing every night. And then he was like a skater kind of guy, like braces, shapes, like head. I think he had maybe he had a cut through his eyebrow at some point, like piercings. Like wore like the baggy jeans and chains. And then but also played like saxophone. It was very random. And then Avril Lavigne brought out Skater Boy.
Oh my
God. I was like, oh, it's written for me. I was like, this is literally written for me. Apart from the fact that she left him, he left me. But whatever, that's another thing. So that will always be like one of those songs that I'm like, 15.
That's hilarious. What about you, Tyler?
Oh, dude, I don't know. Honestly, like the one song that came to mind, and I couldn't even attach like a specific memory to it of any like value, was like Bop from Hanson.
Oh my God, dude. I'm so glad you said that, because that's my song, and you want to know why?
I don't know why though.
All right, so check this out. My next door neighbor, his name's Kev. We call him Shags because he kind of looks like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. So Shag, and we were young. What year did Bop come out?
90. It was the early 90s.
Okay, so
maybe 94.
So here's the
97.
Okay, so Shags calls me and he's like, bro, he lived next door. He's like, bro, I just heard this song. It's called Bop, and they sound so hot. And, and it was literally when it first came out, there wasn't a video for it yet or anything. And then like a week later, the video dropped, and I see the video. And I call him and I'm like, bro, did you see the Bop video? And he's like, no. Are they hot? And I'm like, they're like 13-year-old boys, dude. And he's like, no. He was so heartbroken, literally heartbroken. So every single time I hear that song, I think of that situation. Oh my God, it was the most amazing thing ever. I broke his heart.
It's so great that it's that song.
Yeah. Oh my God. Cruel Summer from Karate Kid. Oh, so good.
There are so many good songs. And I think that's one of the other things about it though, too, is like, as much as you can like think about it and pick a song, there's also songs that until you hear them, that memory doesn't click. And then when it does, you're just like, oh shit. Like, yeah.
Like, remember that song, Walk Like an Egyptian?
Oh gosh, I love that.
Was it the Bangles?
I think it was actually. I did that in the show. I remember an awful pantomime I did with that number. I think I was dressed up like an Egyptian.
That is so good. You can't do that now. That's like appropriation. You get in trouble now.
I mean, this was a long time ago. This is like 20-something years ago. Like, wow.
Oh, don't even go there. I'm older than you.
Here you go. Colin says, Everlong, Foo Fighters, Our First Dance.
That was my first dance.
Yeah.
But he says that, but I never knew that song before he shared it with me. So I remember more me walking down the aisle to Lover by Taylor Swift. It's more of like a memoy from, like, if I had to think, like, well, not had to, but if I thought of our wedding and I was like, oh, remember moments of it, and I remember that song more. maybe too, because it was like, our family was there, and I remember seeing my family, my dogs were there.
Was David there? Was David there?
There was a David there. There was a few Davids, but not a David Crawford. But yeah, Colin and I almost had a falling out a couple of days before the wedding, because we had to go check out the place for the last things and whatever. And then I was like, yeah, no, I'll, because it was a little bit into town, and I was like, but I'm going to bring the dog, so I'll just drive in the morning with everything, and then I'll get ready there, because it was too long of a drive to like get ready at home and bring the dog. Like, I was like, I'm not going in my dress, I'll go whatever. And he was like, oh, you can't take the dogs. And I'm like, what do you mean I can't take the dogs? So like, well, because later there's going to be like food and stuff. And I was like, well, I figured they would stay until like any food or whatever was served. He's like, yeah, no. And I was like almost crying, because they're not my babies. Like, it's, and everyone knows that even if everyone's ever worked with me, the dogs are always there. It doesn't matter where I am, the dogs are with me. They came to New York with us, and they hang out in wardrobe when I was on stage on Broadway. Like, it's always me and the dogs. It's always been the way. And
sorry, Colin.
and he's like, you can't bring the dog. And I'm like, and he's like, I was like, well, we can't get married without the dogs. Like, the dogs have to be there. And then he's like, oh my God. And I'm like, what? And he's like, well, I wasn't going to tell you. It was going to be a surprise, but I was going to have someone bring the dogs to the wedding, and they could he got them little outfits and everything. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I was like, it's okay, I'll just bring them. But I literally was like, the dogs are coming. Like, there's no wedding without the dogs. Like, what are we doing?
He just wanted to surprise you. What a nice guy.
I don't like surprises.
Tyler doesn't.
I know the feeling. Steve loves surprises. Oh my God. Steve will literally call me and be like, dude, you'll never guess what. And I'm like, what? Because I expect like an answer immediately. He's like, I can't tell you. You'll find out in a couple weeks. I'm like, I fucking hate you right now. Like, oh my God.
I can't stand it. I just, like, it's different when it's a surprise that I don't know about. Like, I don't know. I come home and Colin's cooked dinner. Like nice surprises.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. But like, if I'm told about it like that, no, I can't. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Don't need that in my life. It's stressful. It stresses me out. I get really anxious about it. Like, no, I'd rather just know. Like, even like, I would, this is so bad. Like, I just had my birthday, but I would rather, and Colin does this now, and like, he'll get me surprise bits, but I would rather he go, okay, just tell me what you want, or just buy it. Like, even my mum does that. She's like, I just sent you some money, go buy something that you like, because it makes me really anxious. And I don't know why. And I think it's just wanting to control things and having like that, which is so stupid. But yeah, I got issues.
That's funny.
It's perfectly fine now. Again, I'm on the same boat with like Christmas time. Like, my family, we all just send around emails, and it's like, get me this. And it's like, all right, perfect. You're done. Like, you know what you're getting. The surprise is nice. Obviously, you do like small surprises. Yeah. Like for the big stuff, like on both sides, it's so much easier, because then there isn't the stress on someone else's side to be like, what do I get them? And then for you, it's like, oh my God, I'm not going to end up like a 13th blender, am I? Like,
I'm the complete opposite. Like, literally, Leslie's like, do you want me to tell you what I got you? I'm like, no. Like, I'll wait the 3 days until whatever it is.
Oh, no.
Like, really? You don't want to know? I'm like, no, don't tell me.
Except you tell Steve he can't open a package for a day, and it's game over.
No, it depends what it is. All depends what it is.
Sorry, Chloe, you were going to say that.
Oh no, I used to unwrap my Christmas presents and then rewrap them before.
Yeah, I used to do that too. Yeah.
I think everybody did that though. I even did that.
So worried about like how, like, I was like, well, I have to react a certain way, and I was like, oh, like, I don't know what it is, because it was always like it's like when my mom would buy me something. Like, my mom knows me better than anyone, but there's like that. I don't know what it is. It's stressful.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I love buying gifts for other people and surprising other people. Like when you do like I don't know if you call it. Well, you have Secret Santa, right? That's the thing. Yeah. Secret Santa, or what's the one when you? Well, Secret Santa is better. You know, the other one we like, white elephant, where you can swap.
White elephant, and then like, yeah,
which I don't like as much. I like Secret Santa because then you can like find stuff about someone, like, especially if it's like a cast or crew and stuff, where you're like, you might get someone you don't know as well as other people, and you kind of are pushed to get to know that person a little bit and like find out things they like. Like, I love giving gifts. Like, that is, it's so much fun. But receiving's, that's hard work, man. Like, Too much.
That's so funny. Mark wants to know what your favorite scary movie is. Do you like scary movies?
I mean, okay. It's never a simple answer with me.
That's like that's a surprise. So you never. It's
Yeah, I love watching like the behind the scenes of how they make all this stuff happen and things like that. I'm not big into scary movies like I remember when I was younger, like when Scream came out, and I was like, not for me. Like I don't like that jumpy thing, and in the music, and you're like, oh, I know it's coming. So that kind of side of things I don't really like. But then there's a lot of stuff that we watch that's more crime-esque, I guess, or I mean, we've watched a lot of murder shows in the past year, which I actually really enjoy.
It's like Steve's jam.
That is my fucking jam. My girlfriend and I have seen every crime documentary. Like literally, if we turn on a new documentary or show and they like name the person that's a victim or name the killer or something like that, or even like the story, we're like, oh, we've watched this. We know what it's about. It's it's pretty bad. We say it always on the show. It's like if anything happened to either one of us, like me or her, and they had to come and investigate, they would come in the house, turn on my computer and watch my history or my Netflix and Hulu and all the other channels and be like, these motherfuckers did it. Like he's guilty or she's guilty.
That's so funny. I wish I could watch them. I just don't like the jumpy feeling. And I have such a vivid imagination. Like I will just have nightmares all the time. Like I really I struggle with that anyway with having
dude, I get that.
Especially with the I have nightmares about the pets all the time and like someone breaking in and so I don't need to add to fuel that anymore than it already is. But it's a shame because there's so many really clever scary movies out there and I love that. But I'm like, I'll watch the YouTube documentary on that rather than the actual deal.
Yeah. You just gotta watch the scary movies during the day, even though it makes literally no difference to the plot. Something about it, like mentally, like that's how I do it. I'm like, all right, once the sun's down, no scary movies. But during the day, like between 4 and 6 p.m., I'll watch a scary movie. And
then watch cartoons afterwards, just lighten the mood.
It makes it a lot better, yeah.
I have watched a couple of bits here and there where I really got into Hannibal, the TV series one.
That was a really good one, yeah.
I mean, I was watching that and Colin was away and I was in Scotland watching it in the middle of the country. And I was like, this is probably not the best thing to be watching right now. But then it got to the point where I was like, I'm just going to mute it and put the subtitles on because I can handle the visuals. Like I don't mind blood and stuff like that. It doesn't really bother me that much. But it's that when that creepy music comes on, you're like, oh, I know something's going to happen, but I don't know what it is. Oh, I hate that. It's the surprise thing again. It's the same, is that anticipation of oh, something's going to happen.
Yeah. Your body starts building up that adrenaline and you really get amped and all of a sudden and it's either always a letdown or it scares you even though you knew it was coming and you get frustrated with yourself because you're like, I knew that was going to happen.
Oh yeah. No, too much. Although that is a very good TV series. I loved all that Hannibal stuff.
That was a really good one.
Oh, I really like that.
And Mads Mikkelsen is an amazing actor.
Oh, amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that was a really good show. It's funny because I started watching Prodigal Son recently.
Oh, that's amazing too.
I really like it, but the thing that makes that okay for me is I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, every week they're chasing a new serial killer. I'm like, I doubt there's 52 active serial killers in the country at any given point in time. So that makes it a little more fantastical and I'm more comfortable with it. But
for sure.
Yeah, I like those.
Who's the dad? Who plays the dad? Famous.
He was just in a show with David Tennant actually too. It's Michael Sheen. Michael Sheen, yeah.
Who's an amazing actor.
Absolutely amazing.
Great. He's so great in that. I've watched him in a few things recently. He was it with David Tennant in
Staged. Good Omens too.
Good Omens.
He was in Good Omens, yeah.
I don't know how I felt. That was a bit of I didn't really know what to expect from that. But both great actors though, big fans of both of them. But yeah, Prodigal Son is I really like that a lot. That's my jam.
He was so when lockdown first happened, him and David Tennant did this show called Staged, and it's all filmed over Zoom about them choreographing a rehearsal for a play that was going to happen after the whole thing. So setting up like rehearsals via Zoom and all like the drama between the staff, but like between the cast, but on Zoom. It was really interesting. It was a little like, it's definitely like a British style like show. It isn't like American prime time, which is probably for the best, but it was actually pretty good if you want to check it out. So
was it like, was it done like a like a documentary?
Yeah, it was kind of done like like a mockumentary where they were following their progress through the creation of the production.
Was it like The Office? Do you know what I mean? Like that kind of like
a little bit like in that style. Yeah, a little bit that style. Yeah,
I have to check it out because I'm always interested in seeing how just different stuff that I wouldn't normally watch. It sounds different. Then that would be cool.
But it was one of the first things, like in the beginning of the pandemic, too, where they actually acknowledged the fact that like the world is in a different kind of place right now. So it was probably one of the first shows where they really jumped onto it and were like, "Hey, cool! Like we're in a pandemic. What are we going to do with ourselves?" I think, and at the time it aired, everyone was kind of in that mindset where they're like, "Oh man, I'm bored at home. What do I do?"
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Like we watched so much Netflix and then Hulu. And then we got Disney Plus for a month. We were like, let's try that.
Let me guess when you got it. You got it for the month that whatchamacallit came on. What was it?
Mandalorian?
No, the other one.
I'm not gonna say because I want to see if you get it.
No, I'll get it. It was fuck. Don't say it.
What else came out on Disney Plus?
No, it was literally
huge things came out on Disney Plus.
It was Mulan.
No, I didn't get it from Mulan. I heard really bad things about it.
Mulan was actually not bad. I saw it. It wasn't as much as like as great as I had hoped, but it was still good. It was better than some of the other movies I've seen recently. So
why did you get it? Which movie?
Well, I think Colin wanted to watch like The Mandalorian, things like that. I don't even remember when we exactly got it, but the push was when Hamilton went on there.
Makes sense.
I really want because we were like one block over on Broadway when Hamilton was there, but we could never see it because our shows always clashed. So we were, our days off were the same, so we could never go see it. And they're also like, was it $1,000 a ticket or something? It was ridiculous.
Yeah, but you guys need to work the system. You need to go over there and be like, yo, we do a show next door. Let's swap tickets.
We were also doing like 21 shows a week or something ridiculous. Like
it's a little tough, yeah.
Just like an 11 a.m. show and then an afternoon show and a dinner, like an evening show. Like it was like Christmas. We were work more than any other day. It was just nuts. But yeah, I really wanted to see it. Well, just because I hadn't seen it, and I was like, I'm interested to see. I just hadn't seen a musical in a long time, and it's cool that the story was obviously it's great, and kind of seeing how he took that and put it his vision, like how he did that. And that was really, really cool. Like we obviously watched The Mandalorian as well. That was which actually kind of got me into Star Wars because I've never really watched Star Wars before. And I really like The Mandalorian. I know some people are like, if they're big Star Wars fans, maybe didn't. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. I got into it. And then we recently went, like right before the pandemic, we went to Florida. We were touring and we did like the Star Wars in Hollywood studios and all that. And like I thought it was cool, but I didn't really get it because I hadn't rewatched the movie, so I couldn't. It's not like with Harry Potter when I'm like, oh, I know that I've seen that before. I know where we are and who the characters are. And then we recently were lucky enough to go to Orlando and go back again, and I started watching the movies, so at least I could. I got it now. I was like, oh, this is actually really cool. It's really like the movie. So yeah, now I'm still trying to push through all the movies. We're on like episode 2, I think. Was it 4, 5, 6, and it goes back, or 3?
Yeah.
4, I don't know. I can't. It's hard to keep up.
Yeah,
now
it's really difficult for me. Is like watching. If you watch it in a row, that's whatever way you watch it, it's really difficult to watch because the older ones are so old, and then all of a sudden they get like a makeover, and it's like, what the fuck just happened? And then different people look different, and it's just. I tried to do a marathon, and I just fucking couldn't do it.
Yeah, no, we're trying to get through them now again, but I think I'm gonna have to watch once I've done like 1, 2, and 3, and like the Rogue one. I don't even know all the names yet, but I'm gonna have to watch the older movies again so I can be like, oh, that guy turned evil there. It's like the going back in time thing really threw me off. So I'm like, he's like, I can't remember who we're talking about, like one of the Skywalkers, and I'm like, well, is that him as a kid? He's like, no, that's his dad. He's not even born yet. And I'm like, okay. And then it's always a different, like a different actor is playing a character. And I'm like,
it's hard to follow. That's like even like the Mandalorian. It's like, is that Boba Fett? And people are like, no. And I'm like, what's the point?
I still haven't watched any of like the new Star Wars
Boba
stuff.
Fett is. Why would you not use Boba Fett? Like, that's just stupid.
I like the old Star Wars stuff. The last one I watched was whatever the last one with Mark Hamill was, the movie. Something Rise of Skywalker or something. Maybe, I don't remember. It's like years ago.
So there's Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi.
It was like whatever the last movie was that still had like
Mark
the original.
Hamill?
Yeah, still had Mark Hamill in it, which I can't remember what. I think it was Rise of Skywalker,
Jedi, isn't it?
No, Jesus, no. Rise of Skywalker.
Oh.
Yeah, Rise of Skywalker in 2019. So I haven't seen any Star Wars in 2 years at this point. And I feel like a lot has happened in the franchise since then, but like I can't get into it.
I'm so bad with any of those movies. Like Lord of the Rings, I wasn't
Oh, too long.
It's not long. It's just like cool.
The worst part is they're long, but they actually made extended cuts of them, which are even longer. Like if you sit down and watch the full extended cuts, it's like 18 hours.
Yeah, no thanks. Yeah, no Harry Potter, same thing. I'm like, I love
Harry Potter.
Yeah, the reason why I don't like Harry Potter is because he is a fucking coward. He doesn't know how to do anything. He got like all the attention, but he was the biggest wuss out of everybody. He got lucky, and it's like it should be called like Hermione show
Granger,
or whatever. Like,
I mean, fair enough.
He is a coward. He's a wimp, and he just. I don't know. It's hard to watch.
See, but the premise is bad things happen to good people, I think. So,
I mean, the books came out when I was in school, so we read a lot of the books in school. So I kind of, I grew up with it. So it kind of, it's just, I don't know. I quite like them. We watch them every Christmas.
Oh, really?
There's always a Christmas scene in like every Harry Potter movie. So you got to like watch the movie to get to the Christmas part. But yeah, it's no, I do like Harry Potter. When we went to Orlando and they have the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. I mean, it's pretty cool. Like they've got some great rides too as well. Like some of the one which is like Hagrid's motorcycle. It's like a motorcycle in a sidecar.
That's
so
awesome.
It's probably one of the best roller coasters I've ever been on. Like it's real smart, especially because you see like the characters and stuff as well. But the actual ride is pee your pants, but it's real good.
Sweet. I can't wait to do that.
Oh my God. I love Harry Potter. Now, Harry Potter, see, it's a time, like, I don't want to say it's timeless. It's a relatively new storyline, but the story is so good, Steve. Like,
no,
ignoring Harry Potter, Harry Potter as the
dude, it's a great story. I listened, when I was driving, when I was rock climbing a lot and I was driving 12, 13 hours to get to locations, I listened to all of them on tape, and they were great. The story, but what it comes down to is like when I watch the movie and the character that's in the movie is just a loser. It's so hard to watch it. It's just really difficult.
I mean, he does some stuff.
I mean, I'll be honest.
Help, but
just putting myself in that movie, I want to punch him in the nose.
All right.
And I'm not even that violent. Like, I just want to choke him out, let him go to sleep for a few hours, maybe skip a couple movies, and then
it's over.
Somebody else play his role or something. He's just hard to root for because he's such a coward.
Dude, but you look at like all of the heroes, like all of the traditionally heroic characters throughout that whole series end up actually meeting like bad endings really quickly, like throughout all of them. So like it kind of goes to show that like, I mean, he's the underdog. He's the traditional underdog in that sense. And so like the whole movie purpose is like you can be an underdog and still achieve great things. You can still fail, and yet that doesn't mean it's the end. Like,
but like he wasn't good. He was lucky. And like I understand being an underdog, but like having that like heart and I'm gonna do this, and that's just sucking and not being good, whatever. But like being the underdog and having heart and being
he has heart.
Yeah,
he has heart.
Like, no, man.
Steve, if one of those like Dementors or whatever they are came after you, you'd shit your pants too. That's all I'm
You know
gonna
what?
say.
I would totally shit my pants, but I'll tell you right now, I would stand right in front of that motherfucker and pretend like I didn't shit my pants. I'll tell you that right now. I wouldn't be a coward and go like and die looking like a weenie.
Oh, you
poor
really hate
Harry. I know.
I'm sorry, Radcliffe.
You know what? Honestly, though, I don't even apologize to him. He has not made a good movie since Harry Potter. So
I haven't seen him. I don't know if I've seen him.
He made a Beast, not Beast of Burden, Beast. He made Guns Akimbo recently. I think the last one he was in was Guns Akimbo, and that was pretty trash.
Wasn't there a good one that he was in though? Wasn't he in a magic one?
Maybe, I don't know. I normally when I see him on like a movie poster, I avoid that movie. So
Do you want to know why though? Do you want to know why? It's because he played Harry Potter. He can't play anything else.
Yeah, that's. Yeah. Even though
like plays or like musicals as well.
Could be.
I think I've seen some like little clips where like I followed some Broadway stuff, and I'm sure I've seen him do. I can't even remember what show it would have been, but I've seen him in some clips of like musicals. So I don't know if didn't he do some? I'm sure he did some really serious plays and stuff after Harry Potter. When
he was on Broadway for a while,
right? Or Now You See
he was
Me
in
Too?
Now You See Me Too. Yeah, he did a little bit of like Broadway. I know after, and like he did serious acting, and I think he is a good actor. But like, I wouldn't even say though like he's limited by the fact that he's Harry Potter, because you look at like Rupert Grint. Rupert Grint did a whole bunch of stuff after. Some of it was hilarious, like shows too. But like he managed to break out of that. Like, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But Daniel Radcliffe's a fun one. I also realized we're an hour and 30 and we have not done our sniff for Stu here.
Oh my God. Let's
so
do it.
we should probably do that. So we mentioned a little bit ahead of time about bringing a deck, and we'll kind of run into the quick rundown here of it. So back in episode 10, which to the episode now was 52 weeks ago, which means it was a legit
Holy
year.
cow.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So what we do is we had our friend Stu on, who is an amazing member of the playing card community. Stu is known for both eating and sniffing playing cards, among other things. And Stu actually came on the show and did a blind sniff test where he was able to identify the manufacturer of 3 different decks of playing cards solely by smell.
That's insane.
It is insane. He likes his playing card sense. And so we mentioned to you that as a kind of tribute to Stu and a tradition throughout the show, we just have you open and sniff a deck of cards and give us your thoughts on it.
I don't have a very exciting one with me.
That's perfectly fine.
We didn't have any that were sealed, and this was what I could find. I was like, oh, let's find a nice deck, but they've all like been ripped open and we're using them for stuff. I have
before you show it. I was gonna say before you show it, let's apologize for whoever's deck it is.
No, I mean, no, it's just a B deck. Like it's not like.
Which I love a traditional bead deck. They're one of my favorite like decks to play with.
I mean, I'm not a big card person, but like I don't know. We got so many nice decks too that I was like, oh, I want to use a nice one. Like so we got sent like a ton of like the new Theory 11 ones, but we busted them all open. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. So should I just open it?
Yeah, go for it. Just open it. Do your thing.
However you want to do it, you can.
So you can see it. I'll hold it up.
Yeah, you can do it however you like.
I've destroyed the. Oh, it's because I've got sticky hands. What's going on here? Hold on. Get my bloody nails in here. Okay. Like sniff it now, or wait? Like we'll get the deck out and sniff it.
However you want to. You can do both.
Yeah,
you can do whatever you want.
No one said it was going to smell good. There's no promises of that.
I'm thinking you should bring out a deck though that is actually scented, like scratch and sniff.
So there are some coffee decks that are scented. Yeah. I don't know if they've done any other like scents that I can remember.
I mean, it just
they
sounds
have a
like
scratch and sniff one.
No, not a scratch and sniff, but they do have a scented coffee deck where like.
But that wasn't the coffee. That was. I mean, it had coffee. That's why.
Was it Ristretto though, or?
Maybe it was. Was it Bose?
Yeah, I think it was. I think the Ristretto cards were actually scented like coffee.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I drink coffee, but I'm not a big fan of the smell. I'd rather it be like, I don't know.
That's actually interesting because the smell of coffee actually is a large part of the psychological effect that you get from coffee. The caffeine obviously keeps you awake, but the actual positivity and the mood and everything you get is from the smell.
Interesting.
I really do not like the smell at all. Like I like. To be fair, I don't know if I really like the taste. To be honest, I put some I always have to put stuff in it to take like the bitterness out of it.
Yeah.
I think it's habit. I drink it out of habit and because I'm shattered. But and it is literally habit now. But I'm meant to tell you what I smell. Is it's like wine?
Go for it. Yeah. Do a little wine tasting. You can open it up too if you want to smell the cards. So USPCC are usually safer cards to smell because they use like vegetable-based inks and their glues are sustainable, so it's not as like pungent. But
Mad Wabbit's like, let her sniff the deck.
It's like, well, wait, you're not gonna get high off of sniffing.
No.
It's depends how long you're sniffing for, but I mean, now I want another deck to compare. But I think it smells like it's not even like I was gonna say library book smell, but it's not even that good. Like I like library book smell, like that old
mildewy smell. Yeah.
It just now I can just smell my hand a bit.
I like how she put it up to her nose, and her nose, like she smushed her nose, like she was like,
it's right in there. I'm getting in.
That's good.
It just smells like. It smells like playing cards, like paper and plastic. It doesn't smell like.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish it did smell nice, but I've never really cared. Until now.
Now every time you open up a deck, you're going to be like,
I'm going to have to sniff that. Well, it's going to be worse. I'm going to be like at a convention. It's like, can I show you a trick? And I'm like, can I sniff it first? Usually be like, can I examine the deck? And I'll be like, that's my example.
You'd be surprised about how many people actually like smell cards, surprisingly. So the other thing is, though, now that you know how cards smell and you're not thrilled with it, if you ever create your own deck of cards, you know that it needs to smell nice.
Which is funny because I have been asked a couple of times. People come to me and go, oh, we want to produce a deck. But people that know me know that I'm not really, like, I don't use cards. Like, it's not, I do stuff that is similar in the I guess, in size and shape with what I do, but it's never playing cards. It's other stuff. But and I always have to be like, that's really nice, but I don't really, like, it's just not, I wouldn't reuse them. But I would do a smelly one.
You know what you could do? You know what's really good, I think, for all magicians is to do their own deck and just sell them at their show. People would buy the shit out of it.
Oh, well, for sure. I wonder if you could do, though, like, each suit is a different scent.
And they'd kind of probably all meld together.
Yeah, I feel like once you shuffled the deck, that might smell terrible, though.
Well, not if it was, like, all fruity. Like, if you had, like, strawberry and then, like, cherry and then, like, a vanilla and then chocolate. Then it would be like a chocolate fondue.
You threw chocolate in with vanilla, cherry, and strawberry.
I don't know, because then I don't know if I like the smell of chocolate either.
Oh,
like,
chocolate would ruin it all.
Yeah, chocolate doesn't actually smell good. It just tastes good.
You'd have to do like...
It tastes fake. It smells fake. The chocolate
smells that kind of complement each other. Like vanilla, mint.
I love vanilla.
Like honey.
Honey.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like some nice sweet scents.
Yeah. Fresh smells.
Yeah.
Vanilla's my go-to. Like if we have like candles or like things to go in the car, so I'm always like vanilla, because anything like floral,
yeah.
See, I go with like earthy. As weird as this sounds, like I was on a candle kick for a long time, and I'd always go for like moss or like really like earthy ones. They smell amazing, but they're not like.
You're such a dude.
They smell like moss.
You're such a dude.
I mean, I have a vanilla. Actually, I have a grapefruit candle downstairs. It's probably like this, like 2 feet tall, bigger than I can get in the screen here, and that's a great one. But like grapefruit's such like a mellow scent, it doesn't really give off anything.
I don't like grapefruit to eat it.
Ugh, me neither.
I have to put a ton of sugar on it if I eat it. Although I did have grapefruit last night. For dinner, everyone kind of ordered a few things. One of my best friends was there with us, and she ordered like yellowtail, and it had grapefruit on it. She's like, she put a bit on my plate, and she's like, "You got to try it." And I was like, "I can't stand grapefruit. Like, it makes me want to gag. It's so bad." And she's like,
bitter.
And I was like, I was one drinking, so I was like, how bad can it be? And it was really good. And I don't know if it was that with the fish, with like the little dressing that kind of, it didn't have that like that grapefruit, like that horrible, like it's gonna burn your tongue off.
Bitterness, that after bitterness is disgusting.
So bad, and that just wasn't there. It was really, really good. But which is why I'm always a bit against grapefruit, which maybe I like it now. Maybe it's just with age. Now I enjoy it.
I think a lot of people too, and I've been seeing this trend recently, is people grill grapefruit. And I'm wondering if cooking it maybe helps get rid of some of the bitterness.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
I wanna like grapefruit because the minute I put it in my mouth, I'm like, this is good, and then literally 3 seconds later, I'm like, this is terrible.
The only grapefruit that's good is Ocean Spray grapefruit juice, and that's because they have more sugar in it than a Coke. So
gross.
It's not even close to what it is. It's like, it really is just sugar.
Also, we 100% told you we would end up on food, and here we are.
I know I really want to make a deck.
You should.
I mean, why not?
Make a deck, sell it at your shows, and people would buy it, and you could sign it. And
I don't know if I want to tell people that it's scented. Like, I feel is there a trick there? Like,
you can make it a trick.
If it would be very cool that this is so random. It's probably not a good idea whatsoever. If you were able to put a different scent on each card,
and then like force a card and have someone think of a food and like make it smell like
someone picks it, and then you're like, I'm not gonna look, and you're actually not. You can't see it, and all you do is lick it or sniff it, and you know what card it is.
I feel like that would work better, like not during COVID times.
Yeah.
Fair enough. That's very okay. I'll sit on this for a few more years. But but the scent thing is good. I like
that reaction though. I would love to see the reaction of you telling someone what their card is by tasting it. Like you lick it. The facial reactions alone would be worth it. Even if you got it wrong, they'd be like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
I mean, technically, you could do it by soup.
You could do that now. They couldn't touch. Like, okay, you pick a card. They like. Whatever they fold it up and you take it back. Now, as long as you don't give it to them, I can put this where I want. I can lick it.
Yeah, but
the risk is on me. I don't need. Well, they need to sanitize. I wouldn't want their skanky hands in my mouth. But
yeah, you can have a marked deck and you'll know what it is. You lick it and you can tell them.
I know, but it's less fun for me, isn't it? If I just do that, I'd rather lick it. Like if it tasted of something, I feel like that would be good. Sniff, there's something there.
I feel like you'd have to have either really easily identifiable flavors though, or you'd have to have really like sensitive taste buds.
Yeah, I mean,
it'd be an expensive deck getting all those different scents on each card.
Oh yeah, I mean, I feel like that an actual scented deck though is definitely. I feel that like there's room for that in the market.
I think it would be. Yeah, I think people would love that. To be very honest,
people haven't done it yet. I've been literally saying OPC should do it for like a year and a half now. I'm surprised they haven't done it. They did the oil, but
how you would go about that? Because like I said, I've never been like whenever we get stuff made, like we need specific images and stuff. We usually get them not from like a card company. That we have companies that we use to do. If we have stuff for mentalism that we need, or like I just had a ton of like Polaroid pictures printed. So we have a company we use, but it's not a card. It's not like a company that makes decks like specifically. So I don't know, but I don't know. Maybe someone will reach out to me after this and be like, Chloe, let's do a scented deck, and they'll hook me up.
So I just had to Google real quick how scratch and sniff stickers worked because I thought maybe that would be a way you could do it, but they use a process that's called micro encapsulation where it's basically just a whole bunch of little bubbles. So that's why eventually they run out. But
okay.
And maybe that's not the end of the world. I don't know how long a scratch and sniff sticker works. I don't know how long, a card would really need that scent on it, but be interesting to see.
Ooh, cotton candy would be a good one.
That would be a good one.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
Or that bubble gummy.
Yeah, like
You
want very nostalgic.
Yeah,
you want nostalgic things because you want the smell. And like they always say, like smell is actually one of the biggest triggers of memory. So you want things that are going to trigger memory for you. So when you smell it, you're like, I know what this is. So
Chloe, bubblegum deck. Do it.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
Do it. Let's do it.
You heard it here, folks. Don't do a bubblegum deck. Chloe's doing it.
I'm copywriting it right now.
There you go.
Oh wait, it smells like a smell. I just saw the comments. I saw Blaze. Scratch and sniff deck smells like a smoky magic convention. Ew.
Oh my god.
You mean a stinky dude? Like we heard that magic convention smell like a bunch of stinky dudes.
Well, because I guess, I always think of Magic Live because it's in a casino, so it's always like, and not just cigarette, like cigar, like that thick, like.
Yeah. Sounds.
I don't know how a smell can be thick, but you know what I mean, like that. And then just like alcohol and just like, ugh.
Sounds disgusting.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll see you at the next Magic Live, though.
It's a very fun convention, but I'm just saying, it's the casino smell is the problem.
Yeah.
I
always get a kick out of when you go to a casino, at least like the casino near me in Pennsylvania, it's half smoking, half not. And it always throws me off because I'm like, I mean, I used to be a smoker for a long time, and obviously I'd hang out on the smoker side of the casino, but now that I don't smoke, seeing how much smoking happens in that side of the casino, like there's no like disbelief in my mind that like somehow that smoke doesn't waft over to the entirety of the casino.
Here's my question.
That thick air for sure.
Do fucking people still smoke?
Yeah, dude, you can still smoke in bars in Pennsylvania.
No, but do people still smoke?
Yes, people still smoke. I think people
so weird.
A lot of people are transitioning to vaping, which I don't know if it's really. No, it's not good for you.
It just
ultimately
looks better
either.
though. Smoking is just disgusting looking.
It's just not necessary. Like, don't get me wrong. Like when I was younger, I dabbled.
Yeah,
but it's not for me. And I get the vape thing, like especially if you're transitioning from smoking to vape, and like there's nice sense to it at least and things like that. But
yeah, smoking, I remember distinctly like when I first quit smoking, like probably it must have been like 6 months later. I was on vacation in Germany and we were on a train. So it was like an enclosed space and a person walked by me who must have like smoked a cigarette recently, and it like reeked. And I literally leaned over to my girlfriend. And I was like, is that what I used to smell like? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, why the fuck didn't you say anything? Like,
oh yeah,
it was
like,
horrible.
It reminds me of like, you go like when I was younger, when I started, actually going out, being old enough to go out, and you have a drink, and then you might have like one cigarette as like, you're a kid and you're trying stuff, and that smell the next day of like smoky hair and smoky hands, and then just like alcohol and I just can't do it. Like,
gross. I used to work at I used to be a head doorman at a pub in Boston, and it's so bad. It was tiny, a small little spot. They had two sides, and they were kind of mirrored. So there was like a bar on one side and like it was like a 3 like hallways. That's about how thick it was. I mean, like how, I guess you could say how deep it was, right? It was just gross. There were no windows in it. And you basically walk down either side and it brings you out to the front door. And it was the worst smell. It was literally booze, cigarettes, and puke. And that's literally, exactly.
Horrible.
But that's why I was the head doorman, because I got to stand outside the whole time.
So
it was terrible.
Could do like talking about scratch and sniff again. Could do a deck. If you could make every card smell different, but you did it like Harry Potter, the
jelly beans.
Oh yes,
the ones that taste or smell like just
Okay,
that would be
earwax.
That would be an awesome board game, like a board game night where it's like basically Russian roulette with like smelly cards, and like you have to like figure out whether you have a good card or a bad card, and you bet based on it.
Dude, here's my thing. All right, hold on. This. I know everything is run out of curiosity, right? That's how everybody just does things. But what fucking moron tastes those jelly beans out of curiosity? Like, do you want to know what puke tastes like? Do you want to know what boogers taste like?
I don't eat those. No.
Do you want, like, who the fuck eats those?
So the problem is, and it ties into the whole idea of like you have like the flavors, the good flavor is good enough that you want to know how it tastes enough that you're willing to take the risk. I personally would not do that. Like chocolate pudding versus dog food. I don't want to.
I don't like chocolate.
Yeah, no, 100%.
I can't even eat the regular popcorn ones. Those are.
But again, though, think about who it's marketed towards. It's marketing towards kids, and kids are more willing to take on risk for reward than adults. Plus, it makes logical sense, and not all children know about logic. We'll say just be nice for kids, but yeah, I mean. I'm not going to eat a potentially dog food jelly bean on the off chance I get a chocolate pudding one.
Dude, here's the thing though. You can still get them, which tells me that
You
the
can buy
fucking
them and
things
eat them,
sell
yeah.
like crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Like I've been bought them, like it's like a fun gift. Like I've been bought those and like the chocolate frogs and like Harry Potter vibe stuff. But like, I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to risk. It's hard enough when you have normal jelly beans like that are like mixed and there's like chocolate and coffee, and I'm like, that's a big risk for me because I drink coffee, but I don't like coffee flavored things. But I love chocolate. But
Do you like Dr. Pepper? Do you like Dr. Pepper?
My favorite.
Why the fuck do all three of those jelly beans look alike? You have to break them and smell them because I don't eat chocolate and I don't eat coffee. And so those tastes to me are gross, but I love Dr. Pepper. So I literally have to squeeze it and smell it. So I know what it is.
So weird. Oh my God.
So funny.
Dude,
no, Dr. Pepper's like my favorite. We that's the one thing, like we try to be quite healthy, but we always have Diet Dr. Pepper in the fridge all the time. Like it's just my go-to is that it's so good.
That cherry cola taste. It's like, you know that Dr. Pepper used to be the only soda with a warning label?
What was it warning you about?
Contents under pressure. It was so gassy and carbonated that it had a warning. It was like one of the only, I don't know about now, but this is when I was
I feel like it's not that bad now.
It's definitely more carbonated than the rest, but but it's probably like not a big deal now. I would want to say like people understand how soda works, but people surprise me all the time, so who knows?
Bro, you have people trying to sue like restaurants because they drink coffee and they burnt their lip.
Well,
I mean, and winning in some cases, so yeah. But yeah, dude, it's I would still going back to scratch and sniff. I would still love to see a scratch and sniff deck. So
maybe it's a Dr. Pepper one. Like I actually really love. Maybe I don't. Could you do Dr. Pepper?
Well, you need to get permission to do it, but you could.
I mean,
I'm sure they'd be down. I'm sure it won't be that bad.
I mean, you could, if you found a scent that was similar to Dr. Pepper for something and did it, but didn't call it Dr. Pepper, you'd be fine.
Yeah.
You know, because the scent of Dr. Pepper isn't protected. The flavor is and the name is. So
you can call it red cola.
Red cola.
Is that a thing, red cola? Is that
cherry cola is, and cherry Coke is. Dr. Pepper is.
What is? There's a knockoff of like Dr. Pepper. What do they call it though? It's like Dr.
Pibbs. Dr. Pibbs.
Well, there's Pibbs.
Mr. Pibb. Is it
Mr. Pibbs? Yeah, but there's like the Walmart brand one. I want to say it's like Dr. Thunder or something like that.
Oh, that's crazy.
But also, there is a couple of them like that because there's also like Whole Foods has, I think, Dr. Snap. Because it's all like their own. I don't think they have any out. Like they don't have carry cola or like Coca-Cola or Dr. Pepper. I think it's all their own stuff. And then there's another one that's like that too.
What if you call it Pepper Cola?
It is.
Chris Ortiz says Chloé Cola.
There you go.
Oh, quite like that.
Yeah, it is Dr. Thunder.
That's weird.
It's super funny. Weird name. Yeah.
Funny.
Dude, I mean that's like such a good soda. Dr. Pepper.
It is.
I love it. They did a cream soda one as well.
Oh, I love cream soda.
Oh, it's good. It's so good. They only do. I got a little bottle just as a little treat the other day because there's so much sugar in it. But it's cherry.
Are you a cream soda fan?
I really like cream soda, but I can't keep it in the house because I'll drink it every day.
Okay. Have you ever had New York salsa?
No.
Chloe.
I don't know what that is. Is it like what is?
I don't know what that is either, and I live near New York. Is this a real thing,
bro? So when I was growing up, there was this company called New York Salsa. It's out of It's out of New England, and they went out of business or they stopped producing their soda.
Shit, I remember this actually.
They're little bottles like this big, like small bottles, and their flavors are so good. And then all of a sudden, probably like maybe more than 5 years ago, like 10 years ago, they started popping up again, and they make them. But their cream soda, or they call it vanilla soda, is amazing, and you would love it.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, definitely. You'll have to grab it.
Sure. Oh,
All their flavors are so good.
I didn't remember this until I looked at the bottle, and then it all came back to me. I was like, oh shit, I remember these things. Yeah, they used to make a root beer too.
Fucking bomb.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
I like butterbeer too.
You like what?
Butterbeer? I've never had butterbeer.
I've never had butterbeer.
They do it frozen as well, and it's so good. It's so creamy. Like I don't
like cream stuff.
Oh,
I haven't been to see. I need to go to Harry Potter World or whatever they call it. I still haven't been.
Yeah, it's a fun time, and they do all like British food too, which is kind of fun. It's like a bit of home, which is nice.
Nice.
There you go.
But, yeah, butterbeer's good.
So
I like ginger beer, and I'm a big ginger beer fan.
Ginger beer is good.
Oh, like
Bundaberg. That like the tangy ginger.
Ah,
don't know how if it's a little, it fights me a little.
See, I love that because I eat like the ginger you get with sushi too. It reminds me of like that pickled ginger taste.
It's gotta be pink though. It's gotta be pink. White ginger is like Harry Potter ginger.
I don't even know what that means.
There's two different gingers. You have some ginger.
Yeah, but what is Harry Potter ginger? Is it cowardly? Like
it's like wimpy ginger.
Oh. There you go. Oh my god! I knew you were shitting on Harry Potter. I just couldn't figure out how.
It's like it's gotta be a way here.
One's just stronger than the other. It's kind of like horseradish.
Oh.
I can't say I'm Jewish. I have to like it.
So I know you mentioned, obviously doing a lot of travel before this and the pandemic hitting you during touring. What's the first place you guys really want to go once things reopen again? Is it to go visit family, or is it somewhere specific to just get away, or?
I mean, it's so weird in Vegas because it hasn't really felt like I hear stories of people and where they are, and even my family in the UK, like they spent Christmas apart. No, you couldn't go from one person's house to another house in the same city. Yeah. They literally spent Christmas on Zoom, and then we had a very small, we had just a couple of people over, and we all tested and stuff before to make sure we're all good. But there was still I feel like we're not as restricted here. We can still we work out at home now. We don't, if we do leave or we do personal training and stuff like that, it's very we're not going out with massive groups of people and getting, I had a couple of drinks on my birthday, but I wasn't off my face and near people we didn't know. We were in our own little group, Right. So I feel like it's just we went on vacation 2 weeks ago. We went to Orlando. And we were safe. We wore masks. We stuck to all the rules. And then we came home in quarantine. So we weren't around anyone either. We're also both vaccinated. So it's different because we're if we weren't, we definitely wouldn't have gone. It was more okay, we're vaccinated. We can travel. That is an option. We obviously can be safe. And we also know if when his show goes back, when can we take a vacation? We still haven't even had a honeymoon. That's probably not going to be till next year if that, because it's just with everything going on, you got to work when you can work. But I mean, it would be great to go home and see family, because that is something we can't do right now because you have to quarantine for 2 weeks when you get there. And we don't want to put people, a lot of our family's vaccinated now, but we don't want to put anyone at risk from us traveling over there at this point.
Yeah.
So, maybe, next year that would be nice. Or I think some of my family are that are really healthy and in good shape and are vaccinated may come out here when they can, but it's just a quarantine time with the UK. It's not ideal right now. But yeah, we'd love to go home. I think this is kind of the longest Colin's been away from his family. I've not that I'm used to it, but I've done it for a long time now. So it's kind of just part of my life. So I think it's a bit weird for him. So that would be great. I mean, it would be great for us to take our real honeymoon because we kind of always said we wanted to go to Tokyo. It's somewhere neither of us have been. And I just we'd love to go and experience it and experience a new place, because we are very lucky when we tour. You get to see loads of different places. We got to go to Hawaii last year, and I'd never been to Hawaii. So that was amazing. Yeah. We're pretty spoiled with that. But we also know how nice it is to take a vacation and not work and just go and enjoy it and not be thinking, oh, we got a show tomorrow, or you can't relax. It's not the same. Right. So a honeymoon in the future would be nice to go, get out of here. But even the week away when we went to Orlando, it was we worked really hard last year, and it was so just like refreshing to like even coming back and doing shows again, and like coming back to write and create and stuff. It just felt so like we were starting over. Like last year, it was definitely just, especially around Christmas, we did a ton of shows, and we literally were just napping in between because we had such a weird schedule. We did like a 3 a.m. show, an 8 a.m. show, a 2 p.m. show, a midnight show. Like there was and you can't, when do you sleep? You can't like,
that's true.
Okay, I'm just going to go to bed early, whatever. Your body's not going to just go to sleep. So we literally I would like fall asleep in the office and be like, okay, we've got an hour, I'll take a nap and go back. But yeah, I think after the year we kind of went, you know what, we worked really hard and we deserve a vacation, so why not? And that is the thing, like when you do tour and you do travel, it's hard to like treat yourself to travel. Like it's a weird thing to do. So yeah, we kind of just said, yeah, let's go for, I think we went for 5 nights, 6 nights. We didn't go, you know, it was so amazing. And we have someone that looks after all the pets in the house and everything while we're away, because that's like the biggest thing. Like I find it really hard to relax and be away with the pets here, because I just worry. I'm like, someone breaks in. What if they get out somehow? Like my brain goes crazy. So we have like a really good friend that stays here, because we have 5 of them. So it's a lot. It's not just
yeah, that is a lot.
You can't have someone just pop in. You need like a full on like situation for all 5 of them. But yeah, they were great. They were wonderful. They were glad to see us home. But it was just so refreshing to get out and then be like, okay, now we're ready to go back to work again. And then if we don't take a vacation for another year, 2 years, then at least we've done something. So yeah, although we keep trying to plan little things like go somewhere in Vegas for a little to do something, or go to California if we can for a weekend and try and see some friends. And because now more and more people are of our friends, because a lot of them are getting vaccinated, that everyone's a bit more relaxed now. Like we're still being safe and wearing masks and not being stupid, but it's we're definitely more just like, okay, well, we need to start having a life again and not just staying home with each other, because we're just It's too much. So you've got to go have friends and talk to people, and you know, and we're lucky that we're both healthy and in good shape. So it's, you know, why not at this point? What else can you do? So yeah, but yeah, home to England would be nice. See the family, and because we got married in 2019. Yeah, we got married 2019 in December, like the 30th of December, and we had some friends stay because everyone flew out, and then New Year's Eve we all spent it together, and then we left on like, I was working I think on the 3rd, we were shooting in Edinburgh, then we left on the 4th because we were flying back and forth to bring the pets over to Vegas again. We bought a house real quick. We were in for a day and we were like, we've got to find somewhere to live, so we got a house. We were flying the pets, so we're bringing all our stuff over, and then we went on tour. So it was kind of like the wedding was kind of the last time we really spent a lot of time with family, and which is amazing. What a way to like see them last, but until we can see them again. But yeah, Zoom is great, but it would be nice to go home and, you know, even for a week, just to be home.
Yeah.
You know? Like, especially after the past year, because you know especially when you're that far away and you're like, you know, they're obviously not to be a downer, but like the pandemic's going around, and I've got family that are older, and like hearing, you know, you hear like, oh, someone tested positive, and you're worried that like, well, have they been in, you know, near my granddad, for instance, and then you're just waiting for a text message to find out what's going on, because we're on such different time schedules. So it was pretty just stressful. Every time I got a text of like, someone's got a cold, I'm like, is it a cold? Are they? And I was like, no one go see my grandparents. Like, I know it's really harsh, but I'm like, I can't get home right now. So everyone stay healthy. Everyone wear a mask. No one touch each other. Don't see each other. So, you know, but everyone is good.
That's good. Knock on wood, that's for sure.
We've been very lucky.
It was definitely, I think, nerve-wracking for a lot of people. You know, my mom was supposed to come here actually literally right in the beginning, and obviously it all hit and she had to cancel it. But you know, it's definitely stressful.
For sure.
I'm glad it's, you know, finally we could see the end in sight, you know, and
for sure.
That's definitely a good thing.
Yeah.
Tyler, we have a viewer that comes in a lot, and she was actually at school and really busy, so she didn't get to come in the show a lot. So she actually is here today. It's Caitlin, and she always comes up with some fun questions. So
nice.
Here we go. What would you say is the weirdest thing a guest has ever done in your house?
Such random questions. We love it.
Like if I've had someone over and they've just done something weird to you.
Yeah, like pooped on the floor or something. Like it could be anything.
Let's hope not.
The weirdest thing someone's ever done.
Like you never know. Somebody could ruin the toilet. Who knows?
I don't know if I've ever experienced something weird that I know of.
It's probably for the best.
I was just gonna say,
good friends. Yeah, you have good friends.
My friends aren't that weird. Like I have friends that like when they come over, it's like I have a couple that are like sisters, and they just come in and they I'm always buzzing around, or we're doing shows, or we're busy, and I'm always multitasking, doing stuff, and they just come and help themselves, and I'm like, but that's like it's normal. It's not. But I don't think I've had. To be fair, as well, like here we haven't really had many people over because of the past year, and then even like when I was in Scotland, when Colin and I lived together, like we were in the middle of like the country. There is no people. There's cows and sheep. There's not really a lot of people. And we don't like talk to our neighbors. Like that's not. We're British. We don't talk to our neighbors. Colin says hello to the next door neighbors, and I'm like, don't, because they're gonna want to talk to us all the time.
Colin says needles in your leg, Becky.
Oh, okay. So I do have one with. Okay, so a friend of mine does her first. Well, because I asked for it. It's not like it was random. So no, so a friend of mine does like physical therapy and like dry needling and stuff like that. And I was having a real bad time last year. I had like old injuries from shows, from performing, that I never got fixed and didn't see a doctor. And I was just in a lot of pain. I couldn't sleep. I was just having a lot of issues. And when it starts affecting your sleep and you can't work out because you're in pain, or you work out, then you're in pain. So you're just doing the circle of like just feeling like crap. And it's the worst, especially that and being stuck home. It's like, fuck. And then I was speaking to a friend of mine, and I was like, can you do anything? Because like we weren't really leaving the house, and not those kind of places weren't open. She's like, well, I can do like dry needling and stuff like that. So she would come over and she gave me exercises to do and stuff as well. But like I would lay there. Do you know what dry needling is? Do you know what this thing is? So she'll take it depends. It was on all down my like thigh and hip and stuff. So there's a lot of like, it's a big area. It's not like it's in your, like in my little arm and it's thing. So she would take like big needles, and they're in like a little tube and whatever. And you'll lay down and they'll tap in, and they're super, super fine. Not like
acupuncture, right?
Similar, but not the same. It looks like,
it's just kind of different, but yes, it is kind of the same thing, but not like, and it goes real deep. And you'll feel like, you don't feel it going in, you feel like pressure. It doesn't feel like you're being stabbed. It's like just like pressure.
Interesting.
But and then you wait, you literally can't move. You lay there for 10 minutes, but she'll do like your whole section. So like the whole thigh or whatever. And then after 10 minutes, she'll go back in and push them in further. And you feel like, the worst bit is when you feel your muscle resist. Like, if you get like a knot in your shoulder, and it hurts, right? And you push on it, but to try and make it feel better. So if you do that with a needle, it's the weirdest feeling, and you feel your muscle like wrap around the needle. Like literally it feels like it's like a snake, and your muscle is circling the needle as it goes in.
Sounds horrifying.
It's really creepy, and you really have to get over that kind of thing. And the worst is like, because it's good for you, like it's getting blood there, and so your body can heal, and if there's scar tissue and stuff. But there's been maybe twice where because it's hard to relax, like you're like, okay, just go, whew. But there's one time where she started pulling it out, and I literally grabbed her arm and was like, we're gonna leave that in for another minute, because I could feel like the twisted muscle was just clinging onto the needle, and I could feel it lifting with my just with the needle. And it's like, it's not going anywhere, like it's not gonna start popping out your skin, but it's like, I was like, yeah, let's leave that for a second. I'm not relaxed. Whew, let it be. But it's really good for you. Like it's it's good stuff. Like if you need it, if you need that kind of stuff, or
probably like triggers similar healing responses like cupping and things like that, where like you said, you get increased blood flow, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So
like getting blood there is the most important thing to heal. And like now a lot of places are open. Like I go see, like this is like the best investment I've ever made. And I even though I probably seem quite high maintenance, I'm not. I do a lot for myself. But the one thing that I really do invest money in is like health and my body, and because it won't last forever. So you've got to keep it in good shape and whatever. So I see a chiropractor once a week and I would say chiropractor and people think, okay, you're just going to get cracked and that's it. But he's so good. He does like all the scraping. It's like they'll take like metal things and like scrape away your scar tissue and all that. And then he obviously cracks you and does all this stuff as well, and does a lot of like pressure point and like massage, and it's painful. Like he's not a little guy. So it's a lot, but it's so good. Like now I can actually, like I work out like every day and I go see him once a week, and if there's a little thing here and there, he'll fix whatever is needed. Cool. And best money I've ever spent on anything. Like, yeah,
it's so creepy because there's so many bad chiropractors.
Oh yeah, he was referred to me by like a friend who's a dancer, because I think I posted something online and I was like, literally, I was like, I'm in so much pain.
Yeah.
Please put me in the right direction. Because I was waiting for a doctor's appointment. It took me 4 months to get a doctor's appointment for them to literally like tap it with a little hammer and be like, yeah, you need to go to a specialist and you need to go to get like, and they were like wanting to send me in for an MRI. And then I never got an appointment. I'm still waiting. And I'm like, I can't lay around for a year. Like, so he was like, I'll take it into my own hands and find someone. And he's so, so great. Like I leave looking like I've been beaten up, like bad, like bruises and like just covered. And I bruise bad anyway. But gosh, it's so good. Nice. Oh,
what's his name for all you people that live in Vegas?
Oh, in Vegas, go to Dr. Bobby. I don't even know what his name is. I don't even know.
Dr. Bobby.
Dr. Bobby, he's on Arroyo Crossing, and if you're in Vegas, you'll know where Arroyo Crossing is. On Rainbow, he's so nice and so and he works on a lot of performers in town, and isn't like crazy expensive. Like you can see where the money's going, and you're getting your money's worth for what it is. Because some people here just charge so much. But yeah, I'm all about it.
Dr. Bobby.
Dr. Bobby. I'm pretty sure I know what his last name is. I presume it's not Bobby. I don't know. I never asked. My friend just sent me a contact and was like, Dr. Bobby. I'm like, okay, I'll call him Dr. Bobby, whatever.
Tyler's on it.
Forsyth. Yeah, Bobby Forsyth.
Did you look it up?
Yeah, I just looked it up real quick. I literally just Googled Dr. Bobby Chiropractor Arroyo Crossing, Las Vegas. So
wait, is Forsyth like a little utensil or something? What's Forsyth mean? Look that up, Tyler.
Oh my
Forsyth?
God.
Yeah, Forsyth.
I mean, I didn't know it was a thing. I've known the last name.
It's not a thing. You're thinking of a scythe.
No, I'm not. I'm thinking of a
Forsyth is not a thing.
Is it a forcep?
Forcep is a thing. Yeah, forcep is like a little a clampy thing that you use in surgery.
Okay, that's what it was then.
Okay, yeah, it's a forcep. So
there you go.
Sure.
Come on, forcep. It's pretty fucking.
No, that is pretty close.
Yeah, it's super close.
There it is. I just read it.
So
go on.
So I was gonna say we had a couple questions come in too from the pre-show question box. I want to touch on a couple of those here. So one of them says, "What's your favorite thing about Vegas?" I think you almost kind of touched on that. Well, you may have touched on that in some capacity a little bit earlier with the fact that there's so many different vocations there that if you want to learn anything, it's accessible. But I don't know if that's your favorite thing about Vegas. So
before you answer this, you have to go to Ramen Tatsu.
Ramen Tatsu. In Vegas, is that like a chain or is it only?
No, it's just you and Colin need to go to Ramen Tatsu. It'll change your life.
It's literally it's like not far from us actually, 50 minutes. Hold on.
Yeah, it's amazing. Definitely check it out. Thank me later. I mean, you can thank me now if you want, but thank me later.
Hold on. I'm not that. It might be awful. You might be setting me up.
No, it is amazing. It is amazing.
I took a little screenshot.
I wouldn't stare you guys wrong. Trust me, it's amazing.
Yeah, I do like some ramen actually. It's very good.
Yeah. If there's spicy miso, it's bomb.
Ooh.
Okay, so go ahead. What's your favorite?
I mean, I guess kind of similar to what I said in the kind of like variety of things you can do here, but that in every way. Like if you want to go, you can eat any food here. Like there's so many good restaurants here, like on and off the strip. There's so like, I don't know. Well, maybe this is other places too. It's hard because I've lived in Vegas so long. I forget like a lot of places have that. But it's also, I don't know, if you want to go out like a super nice dinner on the strip, you can do that. Or if you like, we have a couple of like hole in the wall type places that I love. Like there's a sushi restaurant called Osaka. They have two in Vegas, but I like the one on the west side. And they have like the low tables, and you like take your shoes off and sit down. It's like my favorite place to eat. I love it. Their spicy edamame is like, oh, and they have like a Japanese lasagna roll. It's like cream cheese and stuff. It's so bad for you, but it's so good.
Sounds good.
So good. So I guess because you can just do anything here, or you want to go, I don't know, you want to go see a show. Like, okay, there's not many options right now, but on a normal day, there's like so many shows you could see. You can do pretty much anything here, I guess. We're also very close to California. Like I used to drive back when I was working for Cirque and I was doing like 10 shows a week, 5 days a week. I would drive on like a Monday morning to LA and drive back Wednesday morning. And I would go to the castle and go to the beach and stuff like that. And it was only like 4 hours drive. It's so close.
Oh, nice.
So I guess it's nice that in a normal time, like New York's not very far away. Like you can jump around to so many places. And I kind of didn't realize that when I first moved here, because like in England, like Europe is really close. Like you can go to Paris on a day trip. Like it's just right there. And we're kind of spoiled in that way. And then I moved to Vegas and never left. And I was like, wait, there's a lot of places close to Vegas. And like you can, we have a great, a big airport, so you can fly anywhere around the world. But yeah, I mean, now I definitely hated Vegas for a while. I think more from just being here too long, working too much and just kind of being burnt with like new friends and stuff like that, which is never in the business. It's hard because it's like, do you want to be friends or do you want something? Like, is that weird? And now I think I've got like my core group that are like family. And obviously Colin moved to Vegas. We're both here now. So we get to spend all this time together, which we couldn't before. When we were touring, we were bouncing back and forth all the time. So yeah, it's like I really enjoy it now. Like it's just so easy to live here. Like we're spoiled. Like, nice. And when we lived in Scotland, especially when I was home alone, I didn't quite realize how spoiled we are here until that, because there was no like Amazon Prime or like Uber Eats or Uber. Like there's no, like I literally was home and until I was able to drive at home, which because I never landed in the UK, I landed in the US. I literally was just home and I was like, I hope someone can deliver food here because I'm just home and I don't know what to do. And I forget here so easy. And you drive 5 minutes down the road and everything's so close. Like I do love LA, but like, oh God, the traffic is a nightmare.
Yeah,
whereas here, it's like,
LA.
yeah, you can get from one side of Vegas to the other max. And I mean like one end to the other, like with all the good stuff in like 30 minutes. And that's with traffic. Like it's so easy to get around and everything's close. The weather is amazing. Like, yeah, it gets really hot, but I've kind of got used to it a bit now and I love it. Like I can't stand the cold weather. It doesn't make me want to get out of bed and especially when it's gray and it doesn't put me in a good mood. So it's nice to wake up and you see the sun every day. Like even when it rains for like a minute. And then you're like literally if I'm driving and it rains, like, and I'm like, I don't want to like walk from the car to the house because it's raining. I'll sit in my car for 5 minutes and I know it'll be done. Like it's such good weather here. So yeah, I've kind of fell back in love with it. I definitely had a moment when I was like, oh, I just want to get out of here. But it's a good place to be based and so many great performers here and so many friends that we've met over the years that you then, you do shows or you tour and you meet people and then you're like, wait, you live in Vegas as well? And you don't even know.
Right.
So yeah, so many great people. Like Dan Sperry lives here. Kevin James lives here. Shin Lim lives here. Gosh, now I'm like losing names, but like there's so many people.
Everybody lives there. That's for sure.
I mean, everyone. I was like, I could just name everyone that does a show here, but but yeah, so it's a good place to live. Like, why not? Like, I don't know if it won't be forever. I think that Colin has other ideas, I think, of where he wants to live, and I have other ideas of where I'd like us to live. So we'll see. But for now, like, what a great place to be. We're very lucky.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Again, I have to get out there at some point because, again, I don't think as a 13-year-old I get to enjoy it as much as I should have. So
July, dude, July.
I know.
Yeah.
We'll make it happen. Yeah.
No, it's a fun place to come visit. Like, why not?
Yeah.
Once, and I just actually got my second vaccine today, so I'm feeling more comfortable about travel all over. But it's definitely going to happen as long as things reopen in a full capacity this year. It's definitely a year to travel and see things. So.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, like, because shows will go back and whatever, but I think kind of taking advantage if there is a little break to have some fun and enjoy it, and yeah, why not? Like, we deserve it after the past year. I feel like everyone deserves a little fun and a little break. Sure. And, so
we all need to be able to unwind a little and kind of recalibrate, I think. So
100%.
Like, don't get me wrong, it was a shitty thing that happened, but and it's still happening. But I like now, like you said, like kind of seeing the light at the end of the tunnel in some ways. It's kind of nice to go, okay, no, there's been some good stuff that's also come, like there's been plenty of bad, but there's definitely been some good that I've been able to take from it. So kind of trying to focus on that and just everything was too deep. Last year was rough. Like, too many things. Like, you can't turn on the news without, it's like, oh, there's something else now. Like, don't get me wrong, it's great that all these things are being brought to everyone's attention, and I think that's awesome. But I feel like it never ends. There's always something. And there's days when I'm like, I just need to not turn on the news. I need to not look on like any kind of news, social media. Yeah. Like, I need a day. Like, because especially when you can't, I think my biggest issue last year was like, there's nothing I can physically do about it. Like, I can't make a vaccine, or I can't fix these issues that are going on in the world. And when I don't know, that kind of got me for a month or so when I was like, well, why am I here? Like, want me to just do magic tricks? Like, what's my purpose? And you go through that whole rabbit hole, of things, not to get deep at the end of this, but yeah.
No, that's what it's, trust me. I love going deep. That's for damn sure. I think it's interesting because I like to stay up to date, watch the news, like not necessarily the news, because we all know the news is crap, but like I like to be in touch with current affairs, what's going on in the world. And for the past 4 years, I'm not going to get too political here, but I got to a point about 3.5 years ago or 3 years ago where I was just like, I don't want to listen to anything. I don't want to watch anything. I can't watch the news or listen to like anything and not all of a sudden get really, really angry. So I just stopped watching it. And my girlfriend would just tell me the stuff that she knows that I want to hear, and finally, I feel like I can start watching normal news now and normal things that are happening. Of course, the bad things are still happening, but it's totally different than it has been, So it's just, even when something bad happens, how it's dealt with is so much more refreshing than how it was dealt with for such a long time, But it's good that life in 2021 is definitely more recognizable than it has been.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it was too much. And you do get, in a bad way, addicted to looking at the stuff and like reading everything every day and watching the news like every day, like, and you can't help yourself. And then you have to just go like, okay, I think I was the first one out of Colin and I to be like, I don't want to know. Yeah. There is nothing I can do about it. Like with whatever it was, like, and that was the first time I could actually vote, because I became a citizen. 2019, I became a US citizen, and up to then I've been living here, but I haven't been able to vote. And I did what I could, and it took me a few hours. Like, you get your form and to fill out, and I was like, I have no idea who these people are. And then I was like, you know what, I should actually I reached out to some friends that like could at least send me some links and like some direction, because I was like, I don't know what I'm looking at, and I don't want to just like, I don't know, just tick and not know. Like I want to, do the research and whatever. And I took, like half a day just looking up these people and what their beliefs were and what they wanted to do. And, and you never know really, like get to talk really, but at least you try. All you can do is the best you can. And then that's it. Like the rest is just out of your control. But no, that was pretty exciting. But yeah, it's, now I just, if I get sent things like my friends know, like the sort of things that I'm like, if I can get involved in, then I will. Amazing. But if I can't, it's not to be selfish, but it does more damage, because I'm like, well, then what can I do? Like if I'm just home, what can I do? And it's like, well, nothing. And I'm like, well, yes, knowledge is great. But you've got to look after your own health too. Like there's I don't know.
There's definitely a balance. And it's it's something that we've seen over the past year, is just by the state of things, it kind of trickles into every community, and there's so much toxicity in this community, and I'm sure a lot of it had to do with what was going on in the state of the world, just like everything, people being stuck inside and having to deal with themselves. And we all know what it feels like to deal with ourselves, but it's tough. It was tough for everybody, and nobody, it's bad enough that people don't talk about mental health as it is, where it's like more and more people were suffering from issues, whether it's situational or, or otherwise, so I think people now being able to go out and travel and see more people, it's looking a little better.
Well, yeah, because for someone who I don't like going out a lot, I'm a bit more chill about it, but I always used to feel like such an effort and such a like, I've got to do my hair, got to do my makeup, got to do this, got to look a certain way, got to like, I don't know why, and it's my own, I do it to myself, but I think it's so easy when you have an excuse not to leave to just not leave. Like it's very easy to be like, I'm literally not going to leave my house for the next X amount of days or whatever. Like, especially like the same thing that I say is a great thing is also a bad thing, because you can get everything delivered. You don't need to leave your house. You have your phone, like you have your app to, to get whatever you need, and you don't need to leave. Yeah. Especially when we're working at home. I'm like, we have no reason to leave the house. So, and especially we have the pets here too. So it's a good / bad excuse. But now it's kind of like, it's also kind of, I think for me, I've realized like who my real good, like family, like friends are. Yeah. Like the people that have stayed in contact. And yeah, sure, there's people that we don't talk for a little while, but then we talk and it's like, time never passed. Like I get, everyone goes through issues. There's days when I just put my phone in a drawer and I don't respond to anyone because I just don't want to deal. But I definitely realized like, oh, they're the people that I can count on. Like, especially the past year. Like if they weren't there for you last year, they're not going to be there for you, anytime. Yeah. So yeah, it's been an interesting, just very revealing, I guess. And yeah, I don't know.
It's funny because I was talking to someone about this the other day, and we were talking about, you find out a lot about your true friends when things are going at the most difficult times, and the people that you never would imagine would be there for you are the first ones to be there, and the ones that you would think would be there are the ones that are never fucking there.
Yeah,
it's sad, but it's like, and I always say this to people that I'm talking to, and I'm like, it's like kind of like that 7-year kind of, I don't want to call it the 7-year itch, but it's like every 7 years, I feel like things recycle in our lives, whether it's friendships or relationships or whatever it may be. I think it's interesting finding out, at certain points in your life, who is the important people.
Oh, for sure. And sometimes you just grow out of people, and that's fine too, because you go in different directions. You have different careers take you in different paths, like, or you're starting families, and then you hang out with more people that are also in that kind of, that also have kids or whatever. and it's just different, like, which is fine, like it happens. It's unfortunate, but it's life.
It's part of life.
But it's good because then new friends come in that like one of my closest friends I haven't known really that long. Like I would say we've gotten closer in the past year since the pandemic. And literally, and it's a weird thing too, because maybe it's a British thing, maybe it's just like an introverted thing of like, I'm never one to like reach out and be like, do you want to go for coffee or like do something or like Zoom or something? I don't know. It's just not in me to do that. And I don't know what that is, because if someone was like, oh, I'm busy or whatever, then I'd be fine with it too. So I don't know what the weird thing is. But I guess the past year I've really been trying to like, not the past year, but like since now things are starting to open, like try and make more of an effort to just be like, you're literally asking someone for coffee. It's really not a big deal.
Yeah, exactly.
There was actually talking about similar stuff like that. It was a great thing on, it was just on Instagram I saw it the other day, of this girl, and they made it into a comedic thing where they had her, she wrote down, she's staying in a hotel and she wants to order breakfast or something. And she literally writes down, hi, this is Alex, whatever her name was. Hi, my name is Alex. I'm in room 405. I'd like to order blah, 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 blah. And she had it written down. And it's so funny because when I was a bit younger, like not a kid, but like, I don't know, my late teens, I would do that. Like I couldn't just get on the phone and order food. Like I couldn't just order takeout. I had to like write it down and know exactly what I had to say. And I don't know why that is. It's such a weird thing because I still do it now, but I don't think it's for the same reason. I think it's more that me and Colin are like, we can't decide what we want. So I'm like, I'll write it down so I know what we're going to order.
It's like an anxiety. Weird. It's like a social anxiety thing.
It's such a weird thing because it's like, what's the worst that can happen?
Like it's just social anxiety. My girlfriend has the same thing. And she will not call a restaurant and order food if she doesn't have to. Because she doesn't want to talk to people. She literally doesn't want to talk to people. And so what it comes down to is like, oh, can you call this? And she's like, no, I don't want to. I'm like, okay, I'll do it.
So yeah, it's never something I guess too, like you're talking about like mental health is being spoken about more now, but still not as much as it needs to be. Right. But like it's things that I never knew I did when I was younger that I'm like, oh, that's like an actual thing. I just thought it was like a quirk that I had, like silly things like that you just don't, no one, like I just didn't know how to deal with it. You're like, it's just a thing that I have to deal with. And I just, I guess the planner side of me too, and like the OCD wanting to just like control it's all a part of it. I remember like I was like 17, 18, I was going to a bar with friends and I'd never been to this bar before. And I got there and I got to the door and I was like, I can't walk in alone and like look for them. Like someone, and I literally was like calling. It's like loud in there, and I'm like, wait, and then I finally get a text like, where are you? I'm like, someone needs to come get me. And I was like, I realize it sounds like I'm being like a princess, but I'm like, I don't know what it is, but I can't walk in there alone and like find you. I don't know what like now I'm a bit more like, I know, like I'm walking to find these people. It's fine. Like I get like now I get over it, but like. I know it's such a weird thing.
It's social anxiety. That's all it is.
But then I go on stage and I'm like, whatever.
Totally different though. It's like on stage, you're not uncertain. You know what's going to happen because you control it.
Yeah,
it's planned. But when you walk into some place that you don't know anybody, first of all, there's a lot of people around you. You don't know how what the interaction is going to look like, and you're probably a little bit introverted. So it's a little bit of both of those things,
Yeah, like the thought of like walking in and then someone like me like looking for people on like there being a table and like looking back at me as I'm like looking like, oh no, that would like I couldn't handle it. Now I wouldn't. I don't think it would bother me now. It would depend on the situation now. Yeah. But like I would easily like if Colin was at a restaurant and I walked in to meet him, I wouldn't think about. I think there's certain times that I don't know, it would freak me out. But yeah, it's so weird. Like, it's not something I ever thought about. I just thought that was a thing that I just, whatever. Like, my mom didn't really travel when we were younger. Like, when I was younger, she didn't want to travel alone. Like, and I think I kind of saw that in her and was like, I need to, like, just rip the Band-Aid off and, like, get on a train and go somewhere alone. Because I don't want that to pass, because that can get into your life and you'll never leave your house.
Yeah. What's that called?
Oh, that's the thing when you don't want to leave your house ever.
Yeah, what's that called?
Agoraphobia, I think.
Yeah, agoraphobia. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, she's not got that, but she
Right.
there's.
Yeah.
I think it's more worried about. I remember one time she had to fly to see me. I think I was going through some stuff, and she had to fly for the first time, like London to Vegas. And she's like, "Well, how am I going to know where I'm going? Like, how am I going to know? Like, I'm like, you have a flight number. Like, worst case scenario, you walk up with your ticket and you show someone, and they will tell you where to go. Like, there's always someone you can ask. You could ask a stranger, and they will tell you where to go. Like, there's always.
But then that's walking up to a stranger.
I was talking to a stranger. Yeah, that's really the thing. But my mom's also very feisty. Like, she owns a restaurant in the UK, and if anyone's like a dick, she's like the first one to be like effing and blinding and like going off at them. Like, she's
nice.
funny.
That's her territory. It's like your stage.
It's so weird. It's so funny. It's like, and I've never talked about this. It's so random because it's not something you think about on like a daily, you know.
Yeah. No, this is the stuff I was talking about. I'm all about it. Like, literally, insecurities, vulnerabilities. That is my fucking jam. I'll talk about that for hours on end. Like, seriously.
So yeah, and I feel, you know what though, I do feel a lot of performers are pretty introverted though. Like,
yeah,
it to me it's so weird. 'Cause I'm like, it doesn't make sense because you go out and you perform and you do this stuff and but then how are you so like, I don't want to use the word awkward, but like uncomfortable, like in a setting where you're not performing? Like, it's I don't know.
Because it's a totally different setting, right? Like, nobody's talking to you.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's interacting with you. You're not like, you don't have to have a conversation where you're saying the right things, or you know, you're not going to look bad if you say the wrong thing, if you bite your tongue, or
just like you said, a lot of the performing on stage is not scripted necessarily, but to some extent pre-planned. You've had that time to prepare, so you know how to go into it. And I probably part of, and again, this is speculation, but like I'm sure part of the easing of your social anxiety has also kind of probably tied to your ability to say, hey, if I mess up a word and it's not perfectly scripted, and it adds that more natural vibe to it. I mean, I think I'm very familiar with social anxiety as well. Like, that's part of why I do this show, is to get myself out there and get over a lot of my fears with that. And ultimately, like, I think one of the best pieces of advice is like realizing that people just don't give a shit. Like, no one else, like every time you're sitting there being like, yeah, like no one's looking. Like, if someone looks at you at a restaurant when you walk in looking for a table, it's probably them just looking around, and it happens to be that like it's in your general direction. And a lot of that goes to, I think, in general, for all people are very self-concerned. People in general though are very self-concerned as well. I mean, for purposes of survival, we're always concerned with ourselves first and foremost, because we need to know our surroundings. We need to be aware of it. A lot of this is just evolutionary and kind of overcoming things that aren't necessarily relevant anymore, or to the degree they used to be.
Society, 100% society. It's expectations, and it's all ego. 100% ego, and it's looking good. It's, do we look good or do we look stupid? And that's what it comes down to. It's like, do I have a pimple on my face? Then I can't let anybody see that because they're going to make fun of me, or I'm going to look stupid, or I have to cover it up, or it's all of these things. And like Tyler said, nobody fucking cares that you have a pimple on your face.
Well, you know what I think though too, if you are on stage and you're whatever your field is or discipline, you are putting yourself out there to be judged. But the difference is between like walking into a bar, walking down the street, and putting yourself on stage is you've chosen to walk in front of those people and be judged. That is what you're being paid for in that moment. And it's so maybe it's not something I've ever thought about in that way, but I guess that's just different. Like, it's my choice to do this. It's like, it's not necessarily my choice to walk into a restaurant alone with all these people I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's such a weird thing.
Here's the thing, Chloe. Are you ready for this? Amazing, astonishing.
Oh, here we go.
The crazy thing is no matter what we do, no matter who we meet, no matter what, we are being judged at all times, and we are judging at all times. So it's like, it's so weird how we look at one instance and we're like, oh my God, someone's judging me. Whereas this instance, they're fucking judging you. Or this instant, like, we judged you the first time we met you on the camera. You know,
it's the way it is.
Yeah, that's human. That's human nature. Yeah,
you know, and I think that's what allows us to connect with people. That's what allows us to be like, wow, that person's a loser, or whatever it may be. You know, I think it's hard for us to understand during those vulnerable moments of being, uncomfortable in social situations or whatever it is, to understand that I'm being judged all the time, regardless.
Yeah.
No matter what.
It's just one of those things. Like I mean, and there's something quite nice. So like when you just go, fuck it, and you just do it anyway, there's quite a nice, like, oh, I did that feeling, it's a cool thing. There's a very good scene have you watched Schitt's Creek?
Yes.
Okay. So that's one of the things we watched, I think this year I
binged the whole thing during COVID.
I've never
so good. I mean, we tried to watch it a little while back, and I couldn't get through the first episode. And then there were so many great things about it.
I had the same issue. Is there murder in it? I don't think so. No, it's a comedy. It's a comedy.
I mean, so of course someone died in it, but it's more comedy. It's so good with
really is.
Levy and it's there's this scene where the brother, the guy's driving with his sister to go take his driver's test. And he's like stressing about it and whatever. And he's like, so worried about it. But it's done in a way, I can't remember what he said. Look it up. It's so good. But the sister is very like to the point and just very blunt. And she's like, no one cares. And he's like, what do you mean? Well, the driving instructor doesn't care. Like, as long as you don't like crash or whatever, like he doesn't care. Like he's got his own life going on. Like it's 20 minutes for him, and then it's done, and he will probably never think about you again, and it's done. And the brother is like, can't wrap his head around it in that moment. He's like, what do you mean? Like, and this is like, well, of course you care she cares in a way of like, you want to be happy for your brother, whatever, but it's like, no one cares that much. Like, only you care about your own life. Everyone has so much other shit going on. They've got plenty to deal with, to be worried about you. Like, it's that thing of like, there was another thing I just wanted to say. I've been on it, like I was popping on and off when I was hungover. But there was a thing about, oh gosh, what was the point of it? It was about being like walking into a room or walking to a restaurant or something, and someone laughing, and it was just a meme, and it was like a guy just sat there, and it was like, oh, hearing giggling, whatever, and then the guy's like sat on the couch, and he was like, oh, and now like, oh god, I have to find it because it's so good, and it's the guy thinking it's about him, which it obviously isn't. It's like, it could be about a million things, but I think I've definitely experienced that in the past. When I was younger, like people talking or giggling, and you automatically think it's about you, and it's like,
not about you.
The world doesn't revolve around you. Everyone has got their own life. Like, but you do. Like, it's human to do that. But
the amazing thing is they could be laughing about you. They could be laughing because you have a booger in your nose, whatever it may be. But what it comes down to is, it's like, it might not be about you. Who cares?
Yeah. And
it's more likely it's not. Yeah, it's much more likely it's not. And
if they are, then like, and if you do know them, then unless it's done in a playful like way, then like find new friends. But if not, like whatever.
Well, and 100%, I was going to say the same thing. It always, like, to my mind, what always comes to like, what really comes to me is like when you're walking and you trip, and people are always like, oh my God, like I tripped, like people are going to think I'm an idiot or something. And it's like, honestly, like, A, who gives a shit? B, if most people are going to come over and be like, oh my God, are you okay? The ones who don't and laugh are dicks, and you don't want to deal with them anyway. So if anything else, it's helping you identify people who are dicks. So
it's so funny.
And I think what it comes down to is like owning our stuff, right? And if something happens, kind of live more like kids. And what I mean by that is like, if something happens and it's true, own it and be like, yeah, like if you fall, right, and you eat shit, you laugh at yourself rather than be embarrassed. Because if you laugh, you can laugh with whoever's laughing, or what. Obviously, if it hurts, a different story. But like, if something is bothering you, if you're struggling with something, 100%, not even 90%, not even 85%, 100%, someone in your life has gone through that same thing.
Sure.
Something like that, whether it's depression, anxiety, whatever it may be, and unfortunately, especially if you're a dude, guys don't talk about stuff like this, but it definitely opens up doors to allow people to just be more themselves with their friends and people around them, you know?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, and I think too, maybe that's why, like, there's a few people that I'll hang out with, like well, I wouldn't even say a group. I would say like no more than 4 people, but I would rather like hang out with like one person and like, that's it. Like,
Right.
And not like, I can't do big groups. Like, it just doesn't, I don't know. It doesn't do it for me. Like, I would much rather, like, if I've got like a girlfriend that I hang out with, like, and we go for coffee and it's one-on-one and that's it. And, you know, or like, you know, we have another couple that we hang out with and, you know, have dinner every now and again. And I don't know, but that's my max. Like, I can't, I don't know what it is. And I think too, like, I feel like the bigger the group, the quieter I am, but I don't feel the need to be the center of attention in a group. I'm like, I do that on stage. Like, that's my job to be like, look at me, but whatever. But it's like, I don't feel the need to do that in a group. So I feel like I'm like, I just sit there and don't talk for an hour. So I'm like, I'm not really benefiting from hanging out if I'm just watching. Like, I don't know.
You're taking it all in.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is fine sometimes. But also, like, if you're not like interacting, it's like, well, you're just, you know,
right.
The silent one in the corner.
No, hey, I hear you.
It happens.
Yeah.
It happens.
I don't know. I like small group, one-on-one. Oh, that's my jam.
Yeah,
That's the way to do it. I get that.
I hear you. Chloe, we would like to sit here and talk to you for 17 hours, but you actually have to be somewhere in 11 minutes.
We have to start setting up. We have a virtual show tonight. We have a corporate show, so we have to set up for that.
Crazy how fast this stuff goes, right?
I know, right?
This will definitely not be the last time we chat. We can promise you that.
No, sure. No, definitely. This has been fun, and I'm glad we did kind of talk about food. This was mentioned to me.
Heck yeah, food always comes up.
Starving now. But yeah, no, this was fun. I hope everyone enjoyed the chit chat.
It was awesome having you. Stick around for the after party. We'll have we'll break things
a couple
down,
minutes.
Let's
do
we'll
do real quick is we'll do
stuff.
a quick word from our sponsor here, and then we're gonna announce next week's guest. So everyone, make sure to stick around, find out who next week's guest is gonna be. Quick word from our sponsor here.
Join us as we celebrate the marvelous and fascinating things that surround us, all in the palm of your hands. You will be mesmerized. Follow us on Instagram at MarvelousDecks and at MarvelousDecks.com.
And thank you to MuseumKits.com for sponsoring this episode of Deckin Around. MuseumKits.com strives to bring you museum quality prints of your favorite artwork to hang on your wall. They just partnered with Lorenzo from Stockholm 17 to bring you his award-winning House of the Rising Spades court cards. So make sure to check those out at MuseumKits.com/S17. Link will be down in the description below.
Who's going to be on next week? Oh my God, I'm so excited.
Well, you already kind of like said it a little bit. I was like,
I know, but nobody noticed that.
Yeah.
Nobody got that.
So next week we are really excited. We are going to be having Jackie Yu on the show. For anyone, dude, I'm not doing pictures these days. I ain't got time for this.
Come on, it looks so cool. Okay.
I got no picture.
Okay.
But we're really excited to have Jackie on. For anyone who's not familiar with Jackie, make sure to go Google him.
Go learn.
Yeah, go learn as much as you can. Dude is an absolute amazing performer. Funny guy,
also
amazing
in Vegas.
magician, also in Vegas. Yeah. So we are super excited to have Jackie on next week. And Chloe, we really do want to say thank you so much for spending the past 2 hours and 48 minutes with us. It's been an absolute pleasure. And and thank you to everyone who made it out tonight. We had such a fun time. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And we will see you all. Yeah, we will see you all soon.
Thank you. Bye.